This podcast of the Equine Forum is brought to you by the University of Louisville Equine Industry Program at the College of Business. It all begins in 15 seconds right after this word from our podcast sponsor.
The University of Louisville Equine Industry Program at the College of Business is now offering a graduate certificate, which can be completed in 15 or 30 weeks and be done as a standalone or used as 20% of your MBA. Classes at both the undergraduate and graduate level are forming now.
This is HRRN, horse racing's voice.
Leaving the 8th pole. Anybody's horse race. Summing along the rail has the lead. Sport Life, Classic Go-Go, past the tab wall, closing in. In deep stretch, Summing is doggedly holding on to the lead. Summing wins the Pennsylvania Derby by a length and a half.
Have de Grace comes to the final furlong with a 3.5-length lead. Blind Luck is going to try to reel her in. Have de Grace has the lead. She's still clear in mid-stretch. Blind Luck is making her run on the outside, and now Blind Luck is flying. Here comes Blind Luck. Have de Grace, Blind Luck, they're going to be photoing again. Have de Grace has done it. Have de Grace holds on and wins it by a head over Blind Luck.
Welcome to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
Daylight for Musical Romance, and she's coming after the leader. Wild Bout Tiffany is also one with a chance, and Nicole H. just in behind Musical Romance. Musical Romance hits the front. Nicole H. quickly on the attack. Nicole H. Musical Romance. These two down to the line, and the Princess Rooney. Musical Romance would not be denied in 2012.
Thank you, Mary Lou in front. Coming to the 8th pole, 2.5 lengths clear of Milam. Then Birdmaker to the outside, followed by Ms. and Miss. Farther out comes Henny Jenny, Nothing Today. From 50 Shades of Gold, it's Thank You, Mary Lou. Thank You, Mary Lou and Miguel Mena have run off to victory in the Dogwood.
Now, here's Mike Penna.
Good morning once again, everyone. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch, welcoming you to the show that launched a network. It is the Equine Forum. It is all presented by TwinSpires, and it is all right here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Happy to have you on board with me again this morning, right up until 11 a.m. Eastern on Sirius 162, XM 207, our affiliates in Lexington, Louisville, and across the country, streaming worldwide and podcast on our website, horseracingradio.net, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Well, just 6 weeks remain until the Breeders' Cup returns to Del Mar, and the lone win in your inn this week takes place at Gulfstream Park later today with the Grade 3 Princess Rooney, named, of course, in honor of the great Hall of Famer Princess Rooney, who captured the inaugural running of the Breeders' Cup Distaff in 1984 for owner Paula Tucker, trainer Neil Drysdale, and the man they affectionately referred to as Eddie D. Eddie Delahousse. Yeah, he was in the saddle. Gulfstream handicapper Brian Nadeau will join me at 9 o'clock Eastern to tell you about this year's renewal. And is it going to be back-to-back wins for trainer Saffie Joseph Jr., who has 3 horses entered in that race? Or will the talented Florida-bred Best Dream extend her win streak to 5 and take trainer Victor Barboza to the Breeders' Cup for the first time? Those are just a couple of the primary storylines associated with this year's Princess Rooney. And again, Brian will tell you all about it, 9 Eastern. There's also a couple of pretty big stakes slated for this afternoon in Bensalem, Pennsylvania. You have the Grade 1 Cotillion, the Grade 1 Pennsylvania Derby. Those taking place at Parx. The former featuring, of course, the brilliant Thorpedo Anna, with the latter showcasing Preakness winner Seize the Gray and Santa Anita Derby winner Stronghold, neither of whom is favored in that race. And I'm going to ask Dale Roman's Tim Wilkin, if we should be surprised by that decision when they join me later in the show at 10:30 Eastern for I Ask, They Answer. Is it surprising that Classic winner Seize the Gray and Grade 1 winner Stronghold are not favored, at least on the morning line? They may go off favored later today, one of those two, but neither one favored. Trainer Brad Cox is going to saddle the horse that is the morning line favorite, Dragoon Guard. And Brad will be with me coming up in just a few minutes at 8:15. He also has Tarifa going in the Cotillion, so plenty of things to talk about with Brad Cox, as there typically is when you come up to a big race weekend. And jockey Brian Hernandez Jr. is going to be with me at 9:20 to talk about Thorpedo Anna. What a ride it's been for Brian this year, huh? The Kentucky Derby. And by the way, Mystic Dan getting back to work this week at Magdalena Farm. Ken McPeak sending out some videos and some pictures of the Derby winner with jockey Robbie Alvarado aboard. And it's nice to see him getting back to it. And I'll tell you what, if you look at the videos and you look at the pictures, Mystic Dan really looks good. The time off, the little break, and I think that's an underrated thing, giving horses these little breaks after a hard campaign or a hard series of races like Mystic Dan went through. That seems to have done him a world of good because he looks spectacular. Looking forward to see what Mystic Dan can do later in the season as he points for races like the Breeders' Cup Classic. We'll see if he can make it there. We're sitting here on September 21st. He's got some work to do. I don't know if he'll be ready for the Classic, but he looks good. And if he sticks around, he looks like he's going to be a player going into 2025. I'm then going to bring you a complete overview of all the stakes taking place later today at Parx with Tom Law, who's been watching and writing about all the contenders throughout the week. Tom handles all the press releases and works with our good friend Tim Wilkin. They've been busy throughout the week keeping tabs on all the contenders and all the storylines. So I'll talk to Tom Law coming up later in the show at 9:40. Trainer Chris Hartman is going to be here. He's the native of Southwest Arkansas, and he'll be here this morning to talk about his emerging star Fibber in today's Grade 3 Dogwood at Churchill. Fibber went from Brett Calhoun to Chris Hartman a couple of starts ago, and all Fibber has done since is win. And isn't that amazing? We see that quite often in the game, where a horse runs well for one trainer, but maybe not quite as good as they do when they transfer to another barn. And as so many of you who tune into our Wednesday afternoon trainer talk programs and have done that for years with me, you know that a lot of trainers will talk about a change of scenery being good for a horse sometimes. I've had owners tell me that on this show too. Sometimes it's just a player goes to another team and they were a good player on one team. They become a great player on another team. For whatever reason, the coaching is different. The atmosphere, the environment is completely different. For whatever reason, they just blossom. And I think we're seeing that with Fibber. Now, this is another big step in the progression. Is Fibber good enough to make this jump to Grade 3 company? Stepping right up the ladder. We'll find out. So I'll talk to Chris Hartman about that race at Churchill Downs in just a little bit. And what you may have missed in the horse racing news cycle this week with all the big races is the story by Bob Ehalt, which appeared Wednesday on Blood Horse, detailing NYRA's launch of a new regular YouTube feature entitled Steward's Review, in which NYRA steward Victor Escobar will explain recent decisions involving disqualifications or non-disqualifications. You want transparency? You got it. I think this is brilliant. I love this. The idea that you would have an official, if you will, a referee, that's what stewards are. They're the ones who make the decisions. After a race, during a race, they take a look at the film, and it's up to them to decide, does the horse deserve to be disqualified, or do you keep him up? So this is fantastic. He is going to, on that YouTube channel, explain to horse players and to horsemen what the rationale was behind the decision. Whether good or bad, whether the horse came down or the horse stayed up. Anytime there's an inquiry or an objection and a change is made or a change is not made, they're going to do this. And I think this is tremendous. So often the stewards come under fire in our game, and oftentimes rightfully so because of the inconsistencies. But it's no different than any other sport. How many times do we complain about the referees watching the NFL or college football? Or any sport for that matter, basketball. No, it wasn't a charge. It happens all the time in every sport. The stewards are just like any other official in any other sport. But what you don't see in other sports, at least I haven't seen it, is referees and officials taking to a mainstream platform like YouTube afterwards, after every game, and saying, well, here's why we called it a charge. Here's why it was a holding. Here's why it was pass interference in this situation. That's what this is going to be. And I think this is tremendous. You're going to hear from Victor Escobar down the road. I'm going to reach out to him, see if he'll come on and visit with us for a little bit and explain his rationale behind this. This was his brainchild. So good stuff. Kudos to Naira for taking this step. All right, here's your full lineup for you this morning. And, again, a very busy morning coming up here on the Equine Forum, as it typically is. We'll cover a lot of ground. Brad Cox set to join me in just a few minutes after this first commercial break. Chris Hartman is going to be with me to talk about the Dogwood at Churchill. You'll hear from Gulfstream handicapper Brian Nadeau to kick off Hour 2 at 9 Eastern. Jockey Brian Hernandez Jr. at 9:20. And at 9:40, Tom Law, live from Parx to fill you in on the latest with everything happening on their big race day. 10 o'clock Eastern begins hour number 3, and it begins as it customarily does with the TwinSpires Triple Play. This week it is Kevin Kilroy who will do the honors. He has 3 races, all from Churchill Downs, which you'll be able to keep an eye on and bet at TwinSpires this afternoon. Kurt Becker, Stroll Through Racing History at 10:20. A really cool story about a man that you probably haven't heard of, Oscar Dishman. The name may mean something to some of you. Maybe it doesn't mean anything to others. I would guess that's the case. But this is going to be a really interesting Stroll Through Racing History coming up at 10:20. And then at 10:30 Eastern, we wrap up the show as we do every week with I Ask, They Answer. Dale Roman's Tim Wilkin going to join me. And I'm with just 6 weeks remaining until the Breeders' Cup, I'm going to play a little game with them, and I'm going to ask them who they're taking. I'll present them with a couple of top horses in certain Breeders' Cup divisions. And I want to know who they're taking. And I tried to, as I was working through some of the thought process with this game that I'm going to play with them, I was trying to come up with horses that appear to be relatively evenly matched in each division. Where it's not if I throw out Thorpedo Anna in the 3-year-old filly division, now she's going to take on older horses in the distaff. I get it. I could throw out Idiomatic and Thorpedo Anna. That's kind of a cool one. Maybe that would be good. But, for example, National Treasure versus Senor Buscador, if they both meet in the Breeders' Cup Classic, which one are you going to go with? 2 completely opposite running styles. National Treasure has the early speed, likes to be out toward the front. Senor Buscador, he doesn't see the front till the race is over. Deep closer. So I'll have a little fun with them with that game. Stay tuned for that coming up at 10:30 Eastern. Poll question for you this morning. Going to do something a little bit different. I thought about who do you like to win the Pennsylvania Derby or the Princess Rooney and let you weigh in on that. And those are always fun. But I wanted to do something different and shake it up this morning with the poll question. So tomorrow is National Ice Cream Cone Day. And I think most people are fans of ice cream. So I want to know, HRRN Nation, what is your go-to flavor? And I'll give you some choices. We'll get it started with some choices. Chocolate, vanilla, or mint chocolate chip. That's my personal favorite, so I had to throw it into the poll. I think it's a lot of people's favorite. It's a very popular flavor. But you may have something completely different. Chocolate, vanilla, mint chocolate chip. And the fourth category is other, a different flavor. And if you choose that one, comment and let me know what your favorite flavor is. Maybe it's strawberry. Maybe it's... I'm not opposed to a good chocolate chip cookie dough either. I can do that. A little sweeter, but I can do that. My wife thinks that my combination, now this is just a straight flavor, but when I was growing up, I would always get a sundae, and I would get mint chocolate chip ice cream with strawberries, with caramel topping, and with chocolate sprinkles. And she, to this day, maintains that's the most disgusting thing she's ever heard of. But, man, it tasted good to me, and the combination just really worked. So tomorrow being National Ice Cream Cone Day, what is your go-to flavor of ice cream? Chocolate, vanilla, mint chocolate chip, or is it something completely different or something other than those three? Comment and let me know, and I'll try to get to those responses as we move throughout the program. You can go to @HRRN on our Twitter page. You can go to Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook to cast your vote. And if you don't do social media, you know what to do. You can email the show, mike@horseracingradio.net, to let me know your favorite flavor. I'll ask Brad Cox what his favorite flavor of ice cream is when we return. This is the Equine Forum presented by TwinSpires on HRRN, Horse Racing's voice.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Tenda Equine and Pet Care products have been keeping world-class equine athletes happy and healthy for generations. Keep your equine athlete looking and performing well with Tenda Next Generation Wound and Skin Care Treatment, along with nutritional supplements, leg and muscle care products, salves, hoof care, poultice, topical aids, and grooming products. Visit tendahorse.com today.
Fans, our live meet here at Santa Anita Park will return on Friday, September 27th, and the first ever California Crown Day at Santa Anita will be held on Saturday, September 28th. It is a day that will include the $1 million California Crown Stakes, along with 2 Grade 2 stakes worth $750,000 each. It will also include premium compound experiences with incredible food and beverage options, along with world-class live musical performances, interactive experiences, and cutting-edge technology. Griffin, Little Yachty, and Shabuzi are just some of the live acts that will be performing. You can get tickets at CaliforniaCrown.com. For additional information regarding our autumn meet, go to SantaAnita.com. California Crown Day, Saturday, September 28th, will be an unforgettable day of world-class racing and world-class entertainment that you will not want to miss here at the great race place, Santa Anita Park.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
There's a quarter mile left to go, and the cheer of the crowds welcomes them at the finish line. Saudi Crown. He hits the top of the stretch in command. Magic Tap coming up the rail. Reincarnate spinning his wheels. Needs to do a bit better. Dreamlike is flying late. Il Miracolo with a shot. Saudi Crown has led every step of the way. Can he take them home? There's a 16th left to go. Saudi Crown on the outside. Dreamlike flying, but it's a coronation for Saudi Crown in the Pennsylvania Derby. He gets the win over Dreamlike, and a photo for the Shoto.
Welcome back to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch, with you as always. That was Jessica Paquette with the call of last year's running of the Pennsylvania Derby, won by Saudi Crown, trained by Brad Cox, who is with us now, looking ahead to this year's renewal as he gets set to saddle the morning line favorite, Dragoon Guard. Brad, good morning, my friend.
Good morning, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
You know, I'm going to get to Dragoon Guard, and I'm going to get to what we saw last year with Saudi Crown in just a minute. But before we do, I threw out a poll question this morning, and I'm asking people, with tomorrow being National Ice Cream Cone Day, what their favorite flavor of ice cream is. So if Brad Cox is going to go out for ice cream, what's your go-to flavor?
Peach ice cream at Grader's. It's a little chain here, it's a chain here in the Kentucky area, Cincinnati. I think it's originated in Cincinnati, but it's kind of a thing here in Louisville, the Kentucky area, Lexington and stuff. And it's a seasonal ice cream. So I don't know if you want to get that deep into it, but that's what I like. You ask, that's what I'm going with.
I'm a mint chocolate chip guy, but you bring up Grater's. They're going to get some advertising here. Grater's makes a strawberry chip, and it's a seasonal flavor, which I think is just out of this world.
Yeah, I think all the flavors of Grater's are all right, but I haven't tried them all. But now the peach is my go-to in the summer.
Yeah, good stuff. So Dragoon Guard in the Pennsylvania Derby, you win it last year. Morning line favorite over 2 Grade 1 winners that are in the race with him. He hasn't competed in a Grade 1 yet. Tell me what you're seeing from Dragoon Guard.
Well, he's doing fantastic. He's shipped over to Parx on Tuesday. He's had a couple mornings here galloping and is moving fantastic. Super happy with the way he physically looks and how he's prepared for this race. Kind of zeroed in on this race after the Indiana Derby. Felt like the West Virginia race was just going to be, a filler. It was, I believe it was 4 weeks after the Indiana Derby. I thought, let's give him another run around 2 turns. And if he stepped up and responded the way we hoped and expected in the West Virginia Derby, we felt it was time to take a swing at a Grade 1. The Travers was there. Just didn't feel like it was, he was ready for that against that seasoned deep group of horses. Maybe not ready for a 1.25 miles at Saratoga. And felt like if we waited, we could get a good spot there at Parx or here at Parx. And I feel like, based off him being morning line favorite, I think it was the right move. Hopefully he shows up and everything goes well.
Were you at all surprised to see him as the morning line favorite over a classic winner in Seize the Gray and Grade 1 winner Stronghold?
I think, pretty much, I always say this, like most everything morning line and, who people are going to bet in a race, so much of it's based off their last race. And, he came off of a good race. He obviously beat Stronghold in Indiana. He's came back since and won, and Seize the Gray didn't fare as well last time as I'm sure they expected. So, no, not surprised at all. I think so much of this is just based off what the last thing people saw.
His running style is much like what we saw from Saudi Crown last year. Speedy, likes to get to the front, say, catch me if you can. Obviously, it worked last year for you. Is that a good running style for that surface at Parx?
I think so. I mean, so Saudi's probably a faster horse early in the race, but this horse has more stamina, I do believe. I think Saudi probably tops out at 1 mile and an eighth. I think that, that this colt being a son of Arrogate Dragoon, I think he, possibly stretch out to 1.25 miles. So a little bit different horses, but I do think it's good to be forwardly placed there at Parx from what I've seen in the past.
His only career defeat came in his debut last September at Churchill Downs. He was beaten just a neck by Otto the Conqueror, who turned out to be a pretty decent horse too. That was a good maiden race. Did you always know, Brad, that maybe you had something here with Dragoon Guard?
We liked him last year. We thought we'd see the best of him going around 2 turns. I will say this. I liked him more coming back as a 3-year-old than I liked him last summer and last fall as a 2-year-old. I liked him, but I just didn't know how fast he was. He got his break. He came out of that race. We just wasn't super happy with the way he was moving behind. We gave him a break. Juddmonte always does right by their horses. They do a good job. They send him back to the fairgrounds. But when he was at the fairgrounds late, I'd say around March, he was working handy enough, and I thought, man, this horse has some speed. And, I thought when we kind of targeted that Beard Course race for him, and, then obviously we came back at a 1-turn race, hopefully he'd break and put himself, it was on a wet track, put himself in the race, and he responded. So I really like that he has as much speed as he does, given the fact he's such a big, leggy horse. I mean, he honestly, he's not a horse you would look at and you would think 1.25 miles, 1.5 miles. I mean, he's a big, leggy horse, covers a lot of ground, but, obviously he reminds me a little bit of Idiomatic in the way he's able to break, get involved in his race and keep, keep going.
With that said, I know trainers always like to take it one race at a time, but let's say everything goes according to plan. He wins the Pennsylvania Derby, gets that Grade 1 under his belt. Then do you immediately start thinking, how do we get him ready for the Breeders' Cup Classic?
I don't know if I'd immediately start thinking. I think that would be a conversation we would have if everything went right and the numbers come back. But ultimately, that would be up to Prince Khaled, his family, and they would would see if he stacked up, and they always seem to make the right decision. So we would talk it over with the Juddmonte team and see if that's what we wanted to do and how he came out of the race. But I certainly think if received the figures and he did it the right way and came out of it in good order, it'd definitely be something we would entertain.
You have the privilege of training for some pretty big names in this sport, and you've earned that, Brad, by your success and your approach to the business. Juddmonte, the owners of Dragoon Guard, and then Tarifa, owned by Godolphin, in the Cotillion Stakes, which is the race right before the Pennsylvania Derby on Saturday afternoon. Man, that is an awesome privilege, isn't it?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, it's when people like that call you to take some horses. I mean, it's an honor, and you obviously just do right by the horse. You're going to have the stock. It's about managing them. I mean, most of them can run. It's just about trying to keep them sound, happy, healthy, and making all the right moves with them. And sometimes it works out. But look, they're great people to work for. They listen to you. I always say, good owners, you don't work for them, you work with them. And that's what you feel like when you work for Godolphin or Juddmonte. You're working together. Everybody's on the same page, and they listen to you, and we listen to them, and it works out really well. But they're two great owners to have, and I think we're set up to have a big afternoon for them.
I loved Tarifa going into the Kentucky Oaks this year, and she, of course, was hit with a Thorpedo Anna just dominated that race. She'll get a rematch in the Cotillion. What are you seeing from Tarifa as she gets set for this rematch?
Look, she's as good as she's going to get. I actually physically love how she looks, how she's moving. I ran her 7/8 with the plan. This was the plan. She did draw inside there at Ellis. I don't think 7/8 is really her thing. It was just more of a work. I mean, we were trying to win the race, obviously, and she ran a very respectable second. Thought it was a good effort. Came out of it in great shape. Her works have been super solid. She's as good as she's going to get, bottom line. I don't know if that's, based off numbers and stuff, that doesn't beat Thorpedo Anna. But, if she stumps her toe, maybe we're there. It's a good, very, very good group of fillies. It doesn't look like anybody's backing down or scared. And, I think it means a lot for these fillies to, get a Grade 1 placing. She's obviously a multiple Grade 2 winner, a multiple graded stake winner. So, for this filly to have a chance in a Grade 1 of hitting the board, it's huge. And, we're going over there to win it. We'll have to hopefully have some racing luck and see how it goes.
What did you do with Tarifa after the disappointing effort in the Kentucky Oaks? You gave her time off, but what does that entail when a trainer does that with a horse like Tarifa?
With her, honestly, I took her back to the track, trained her, was looking at the CCA Oaks with her. I just wasn't real happy with her weight. So I spoke with Michael Banahan, and we come up with the plan to, kick her out over at Jonabell for like 3 weeks. I just put her in a round pen, let some sun hit her back, and let her just be a horse. And we brought her back in. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes, fillies, it doesn't matter, fillies or colts, they'll come back. They won't really move good off a short freshening like that. She did. She immediately, jumped back into things, and she's held her weight really, really well. And happy with how she's moved ever since her freshening. And like I said, she ran well there at Ellis, and I expect her to move forward off that race a good bit here later today.
Post time for the Cotillion, 5:20 Eastern. The Pennsylvania Derby follows that one at 6:10 Eastern time. Both of those taking place at Parx. Brad, not the only horse you're going to be saddling in Bensalem, Pennsylvania. You also have Top Gunner going in the Parx Sprint Stakes. So tell me more about Top Gunner.
So horse we claim, we like him. We've raised him, two or three times since we claimed him. He's stabled there at Belmont, and he's going to ship down later. Well, he's actually shipped this morning, I should say. And Yeah, I like him. It's a little bit of an ambitious spot, but I think I thought he drew well. If he gets a good trip, Flavian rides him, I think he can be a factor. He seems to be doing well. He's a seasoned horse, knows his way around a racetrack, and hopefully if he can, work out a trip, he'll be there.
When you're Brad Cox and you're one of the top trainers in the sport, you have horses running all over the country and sometimes all over the world. Well, Brad, you also have Alunda Queen going in the Grade 3 Noble Damsel at Belmont at the Big A, if you will. So tell me about Alunda Queen.
Well, her last two runs with us, one at Indiana, one at Saratoga, she's kind of had some rough trips. Now, I'm not blaming riders or anything, but sometimes horses with no speed, you end up getting rough trips, and she's gotten two tough trips. This is a little bit of not running as well as we hoped in a two other than with a rough trip going to a Grade 3. Look, it's a little bit of a swing. I wouldn't be shocked if she doesn't run very well because she trains well. Just kind of hoping to get a clean run with her. Like I said, 2 times we've run her, she found herself in trouble there inside the final 16th. I'm not sure with a clean trip she's going to, win, but, hopefully she can work out a good trip today.
Can you get peach ice cream on National Ice Cream Day, Ice Cream Cone Day tomorrow? Is it in season?
I'm not sure. I'm happy enough to say that I don't eat it that often, but I'm not certain. I know,
Brad, however
you're
going to
have it at Parx, and they won't have it in Philadelphia.
No, get you a cheesesteak.
There you go.
Brad Cox here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Brad, all the best, my friend. Good luck with all the horses you're going to saddle. One quick note. Idiomatic, give me a quick update on her.
She's doing fantastic. She's on a breeze this weekend here at Churchill, and then she's zeroed in on the Spinster. It's she's doing very, very well. I'm very happy with her out of the Saratoga race. She breezed here last weekend at Churchill and just really moving well. So I'm excited about giving her another chance at the Spinster this year and hopefully onto the Breeders' Cup.
Awesome. Go get it done, my friend. Appreciate the visit.
Thanks, Mike. Talk to you soon.
All right, trainer Brad Cox. Fantastic. And really some interesting things there about Tarifa and talking about Dragoon Guard and the way he's built and what he's seeing from him. You can go down so many roads with Brad Cox, and he's going to give you just incredible stuff. Really smart, really good trainer, and nice to see him continuing to have the success that he's become accustomed to. All right, when I come back, we're going to turn our attention to Churchill Downs and the Grade 3 Dogwood. I'll visit with trainer Chris Hartman, who gets set to saddle the horse that beat Tarifa last time at Ellis Park. Fibber in that Dogwood, and Fibber's a horse that's really on the rise right now. I'll talk to Chris about that after this week's edition of your Legends of the Turf and this short commercial break.
The story of this great thoroughbred might easily fit the needed scenario for a 5-star bit of Hollywood magic. All the necessary ingredients are indeed there. In the summer of 1940, because of protracted German bombing of the British Isles, the British Bloodstock Agency offered for sale 5 stallions to American interests. Mr. C.B. Whitney purchased one who had won the Epsom Derby in record time. The contemporaries of the time cast a rather jaundiced eye, so to speak, on the purchase, and that the horse was considered to be essentially a sprinter with little consequent, at least apparently, chance of upgrading American breeding strains. The fact is, the 7-year-old gray very nearly never made it to America at all. Now, that in itself is a fascinating story which bears retelling. He was transported to America by ship, or at least was supposed to be, and accordingly installed in a crate and hoisted aboard a vessel which was part of a convoy headed across the Atlantic. Soon after sailing, the captain of the freighter discovered the horse's bill of lading, and, as this manifest forbade him from taking on livestock, the horse was returned to the dock. That, as it turned out, was a providential stroke of good fortune. You see, that particular vessel was torpedoed by a German U-boat and went to a watery grave at the bottom of the briny deep with nary a trace of a survivor. A subsequent freighter brought the equine specimen to American shores. At the New York dock assignated as the debarkation point, there was no horse unloading equipment, so it was decided to take him off the ship via a long and treacherously steep passenger gangplank. Well, he stood at the top, pensively surveying the scene, and waited, filled with curiosity, steadfastly refusing debarkation. Straw was used to line the gangplank, and he was fed hay, all to no avail. Eventually, he was enticed down with sugar. Curiously enough, many of this stallion's get demonstrated that self-same temperament which was displayed at the New York dock in that year of 1940. When one of our subject stallion's daughter's first flight with a crafty veteran reinsman Eddie Arcaro in the irons came out onto the racetrack for the 1946 Futurity, she stopped for an extended time in front of the stands, not acting up, mind you, just looking up and down the track until her curiosity was fully satisfied. She then went calmly, quietly, and professionally to the starting gate and promptly galloped off to an impressive score over the very best colts the East could offer by way of opposition. In the breeding shed, this stud was awesome, and the reason was really quite simple. He had 5 characteristics that were of paramount importance in passing on to new foals: soundness, speed, conformation, fertility, and something that cannot be seen or measured, his natural intelligence and temperament, which made his progeny very easy to handle. He was in his prime in the breeding shed, the unequivocal, undisputedly foremost broodmare sire in the world. All told, he begat 68 stakes winners and was North America's leading sire in 1946, and he was a leading sire for 14 straight years. That marvelous gray stallion knew and appreciated human affection and yet did not exploit it. He was never too busy to stroll to his paddock fence for an endearing pat. He was kind, gentle, and uncomplicated. His nickname was Toby, but this great stallion, whose name is indelibly etched in the now yellowing pages of American racing history, was Mahmoud.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
They're off in the Kentucky Derby. His sire is one of the most exciting young stallions in the world. His dam has become one of the most important broodmares in the industry. And on the first Saturday in May, his genetic brilliance shined brightest on racing's biggest stage.
They come into the final 16, and it is going to be Mage to win the Kentucky Derby.
Mage, standing at Airdrie Stud. Think about it.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Fibber is crying out for room. Tambo's been very deep. Addogate's at the back. Now Fibber tips into the 3-path, and she comes with her run. Tarifa and Minx Palace. They better recognize Fibber, who means business to the outside, and here comes Fibber storming home. Fibber gets to the front. Tarifa's back to second. Minx Palace retreats. It's all about Fibber and Axel Concepcion in the Audubon Oaks. Tarifa second, then Adogate, Minx Palace, and Tambo.
Well, you just heard me talk to Brad Cox about Tarifa and what he expects from her in the Grade 1 Cotillion later today. Well, that horse that beat Tarifa last time out, Fibber, is coming back in the Grade 3 Dogwood at 7/8 of a mile beneath the TwinSpires of Churchill Downs, and she has been really, really impressive in her last 2 starts, both for trainer Chris Hartman, the native of Arkansas, who joins me now here on HRRN. Chris, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Doing good, man. I was just talking to Brad, and we talked about Tarifa, but you can't talk about Tarifa without talking about Fibber because she really took it to her last time.
Yes, Michael, she did. But listen, I got to correct you there. Did you say I'm a native of Arkansas?
Didn't I say Arkansas? Yeah, I said Arkansas.
Well, you said I'm a native. No. I'm from Arizona, bub.
Arizona?
Arizona.
Man, I thought I had you in Arkansas.
You got a 602 number here. Yeah. No. Well, we got a house there, but no, I'm an Arizona kid. But anyways, yeah. Brad,
that is so funny. I really had you pegged in Arkansas, but it's the other A, Arizona. I couldn't have been more wrong. I apologize, Chris.
Sure.
Man, you can't make that mistake. It's like the Arizona Sun Devils and the Arkansas Razorbacks.
The Hogs, yeah.
Yeah, you got to get it right.
Yeah.
Hey, well, listen, Fibber has been really good since she came into your barn. What's been the key?
Well, I tell you, I don't. The filly come to me. I mean, we claimed her, but I mean, she come in real good shape, and I don't. I mean, she's always been. I've sort of kind of watched her train a little bit when she was in Brett's barn or what have you, but she's just been really good. She's run 2 good races. I think no real secret to anything, but she's just running good. Got some good setups, some pace scenario setups, in her last 2 races that have probably helped her a little bit. Hopefully we'll get some more Saturday.
What did you notice about her when you got her in your barn that you picked up on and said, okay, maybe we have something here?
Well, I mean, I've always liked that filly, to be honest with you. Like I said, I watched her, when Brett had her and when she won her first 2 starts of her life, and I don't know, I've always sort of watched her and was sort of shocked when she was in for the 100, but for whatever reason, he decided that it was time to go, and we went down there and got her. But the filly's done well since we've had her. I mean, she's pretty straightforward, easy to deal with. She can be hard to gallop some days, but outside of that, she's done well.
What do you do, Chris, when you get a horse into your barn for the first time that's been racing with another trainer, and you start to work with them? How does the process go? Do you just start galloping them and seeing what you have, or do you go back and watch replays of their previous races? What do you do?
Well, I mean, you could gallop or jog them, I guess. I just try to read the horse, and if a horse, you don't have to gallop them every day. You can jog them, and you can even put W's on their chart. They don't have to train every day, but I just try to read the horse a little bit, and they're all individuals. They all, some of them want more training, some of them want less, but it's just how the individual goes.
So her win in the Audubon Oaks last time out was really impressive. She sat off the pace. She charged home. She wins by over 2 lengths. Share your thoughts on that performance.
Well, I thought that she got a really good ride. Axel put a good ride on her. She sat the pocket and split him when he needed to. So, the filly, both races she actually got real good setups. I don't know if it's going to change much here. Of course, this track is really fast right now. They're zipping around there, and but I think there's enough pace in the race once again, and hopefully it falls out in our favor.
There are other sprint races taking place for this division today, most notably the Princess Rooney down at Gulfstream. Do you see her, Chris, as a filly that if she does her job today, that maybe you start thinking, okay, maybe we have something that could potentially take us to the filly and mare sprint? Do you see her as that caliber?
I think it's a little bit of a stretch right now. She's going to have to step forward. I think she has to step forward in this race, to be honest with you. So, if she keeps moving forward, I don't have any visions of going to the sprint. If she wants to take us there, I'd for surely go, but.
Yeah, you wouldn't turn that down.
No, absolutely not. No, but yeah, she's got a few things she's got to jump here, but we're going one race at a time. See what happens.
Talking with trainer Chris Hartman, the native of Arizona, here on the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network. So, Chris, you begin your career in Arizona, at least your interest in racing. How did that all come about for you?
Well, I've got I was born into it. My father trained. Both my grandfathers trained. I got a brother that trains in Oklahoma City, and I've got one brother that still lives in Arizona, but he doesn't have any that racing's a little sketchy out there nowadays. But yeah, I grew up at Turf Paradise, so I mean, that's where we cut our teeth out there in Prescott. So, run the Arizona Fair circuits when we were kids, and, that's what we did, Horse racing's been part of our life.
Great way to get interested in the sport. Were there a couple horses early on that really caught your attention and you became a fan of them and you said, man, maybe one day I could get involved with a horse like that?
Oh, growing up there, we watched. I watched Amy Tactics set the world's record at Turf Paradise. The track was really fast. Don't get me wrong, but that was a fast track. But I've watched. I mean, of course, you always want to train those kind of horses, And I knew what I wanted to do. Me and my brother absolutely knew what we were going to do. When we got our opportunity, and we started when we were young, and just work your way up. It's just a lot of labor, Got to work your way up.
Tell me about some of the you have busted your tail to get to where you are, and you're just shy of 1,700 career victories now, which is fantastic. Tell me a little bit more about some of the horses that you've been around that have taken you to heights that maybe you didn't even think you would get to.
Well, the horse that probably one of the horses that moved us, probably be the person. I mean, Joey Davis was probably the guy that moved my career. I went to Dallas the first year, and we were winning like at a 33%. And when I met Joey Davis and we bought him his first horse, we claimed him his first horse. He's the guy that probably moved our career along further than anything. He's the first guy that came along that, give us serious money to try to claim horses and buy horses with. So, before then, I mean, I just, we were just toiling along. But he was probably but horses, it probably would be, his horse, Red Lead, one of his better horses, and another horse would be Allsted that probably moved us along. We went all over. We traveled. We bought that horse at OBS for $50,000, and he took us all over the country. Paid about $1.4 million, and that's pretty good for a sprinter. But he was a good horse. He won the Aristides a couple of times. Or one time, I should say. But he's a pretty good horse.
Yeah, he won it twice. Yeah, he won it twice, 15 and 16, and then he sandwiched a win in the Count Fleet Sprint handicap in there too. That's Oaklawn.
Yeah. Yep. And then the other guy that probably helped us along was the drivers. The Wasita, and that we got. They had a lot of nice horses. Wasita and James Driver, and we come to Kentucky, and they had a lot of nice horses. They had brought us 12 horses to train, and going to Oaklawn. I mean, all these things, we just started making the right moves, and things started happening right. And, and then, of course, now we're on a great circuit. Here we run at Churchill, Kentucky, and then we go to Arkansas for the winter, and Arkansas and Fairgrounds for the winter, and it's a great circuit, I mean, it's a great circus. We take our turf horses to Fairgrounds and some of our cheaper dirt horses, and it's a great circuit at Fairgrounds. And we run at Oaklawn, and the pots are great everywhere we run. So it's it's a good circuit, So
and the money's fantastic, and the competition is top class, which is I'd imagine what you want. It's always nice to be a 1-9 favorite in a race. But I think any trainer would tell you it's really fun competing against the best, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've got Kentucky, obviously. I mean, you could see the sales going on right now. They're out there spending money, and people all over the world over there buying horses, and very competitive. The horse racing, we got good horses in Kentucky. And, I mean, you got to buy better horses, I mean, you're going to compete. You have to get out there and get with it. So, it's a great atmosphere, and they love their horse racing in Kentucky. and that's a big plus. I mean, I've been to a few spots where they didn't really care all that much. It didn't seem like, and about the horse racing, that's just. But here in Kentucky and Arkansas, they love their racing. In Louisiana, they love their horses. So I mean, it's great when to be in that, position to do that. To train these tracks. I mean, it's the absolute privilege for sure.
Talking with trainer Chris Hartman here on the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Chris, you could go back-to-back with stakes wins Saturday afternoon at Churchill, the Dogwood Stakes with Fibber, and then you come back in the Harrods Creek Stakes in the very next race. You have a total of 8 horses entered on the Saturday program. Tell me more about the Harrods Creek Stakes.
Well, that race is going to be quite a bit tougher. I mean, Henro is in, we cut him back. I actually had this horse in at the Kentucky Downs, but I ended up scratching him over there. I wasn't happy with I just didn't feel comfortable running him over that track. I mean, he does have a little bit of turf pedigree when you go back, but and rerouted him to this race here. So, but it's a pretty tough race. I mean, to be honest with you, but Valentine's Candy's a good horse. Mott's got a decent horse in there. And he's gonna have to bring his A game, and then Fletcher's got one in there that looks pretty solid too. So it's a tough race, but I mean it's a state race. They're not going to give you nothing, Got to go get it. So hopefully Henro's ready to put his A game out there.
Yeah, he's really never run. Well, his last race in the West Virginia Derby, he ends up finishing 4th. But other than that, he's kind of always been around at the finish. What's it like to have a horse that just always shows up? You lead him over, and you're going to get a good effort.
Well, it's fun to train the horse like him. He's a pleasure to be around. He's a laid back horse, and he always gives you an effort. That's for sure. His last race, he didn't ship over really good when we shipped to West Virginia, but. We're sort of pot committed. We were there, so we went ahead and ran him. But and he didn't. He flatlined a little bit on us. But then again, it could have been a competition. The horse that won the race is a Brad Cox horse, and he's a beast. That horse appears to be a really nice horse. Yeah, I think he's in the Pennsylvania Derby. So
yep.
And that horse he's a pretty nice horse. So anyway. He may not be at that level, but hopefully he'll bounce back and give us a good effort here on Saturday.
Yeah, well, Chris, listen, man, good luck with those horses and with all the horses you're going to saddle over the course of this weekend and moving forward. Really do appreciate the visit, and go Wildcats, right? Arizona Wildcats?
The Sun Devils. The Sun Devils.
I took a shot. Now I'm getting it wrong everywhere with you.
Huh? Just Wildcats.
Arizona.
This is Tucson. We're Sun Devils up there. And the Cardinals.
I love it, my man. Well, listen, good luck with the horses. Good luck with the Sun Devils, and we'll catch up again down the road.
All right. Thank you, Michael.
All right. Chris Hartman here on HRRN. Not Arkansas? Really? Arizona State Sun Devils for Chris Hartman. Good for him. Great stuff from Chris, and looking forward to seeing those horses strut their stuff later this afternoon beneath the TwinSpires of Churchill Downs. Coming up next, I will tell you what's ahead in hour number 2. It's a loaded second hour of the program, and I'll tell you what's coming up in hour 3 as well, but I'm going to remember one of the truly great distaffers that we've ever seen in the sport of thoroughbred racing. We'll do that when we return. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
Woodford Feed, where tradition merges with technology. Family owned since 1940 and providing exceptional customer service, Woodford Feed specializes in the highest quality feed, using only the finest ingredients to ensure optimal nutrition for your horses. In addition, Woodford Feed can help with all your farm needs, including field seed, fertilizer, and weed control. So whether your horse is sprinting around the racetrack or has a foal by her side, count on Woodford Feed to provide the quality nutrition necessary to perform at the highest level. Woodford Feed for Sales, Kentucky.
The Claiming Crown is returning to Churchill Downs Saturday, November 16th. Make plans to be part of the Claiming Horse version of the Breeders' Cup, showcasing 8 Claiming Crown races offering a minimum of $100,000. Each race will also offer a Kentucky Thoroughbred Development Fund purse supplement for registered Kentucky breds.
An invaluable goes all the way up top to win at a length and a half.
Eligibility request deadline for the Claiming Crown at Churchill Downs is Saturday, October 26th. Learn more at claimingcrown.com.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becker. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Hi there, it's Scott from Pentatonics. So from the beginning of our journey in music, the foundation has been music education. It's so incredibly important that we continue to show kids the importance of music in our schools, in our homes, and even in the car. Music is such a powerful expression of emotion and individuality, and we are responsible for keeping the love for music alive. This message is courtesy of the United States Air Force.
Want to get the latest HRRN content directly on your computer or mobile device? Then subscribe to our podcast using the Podbean app or Apple Podcasts. Just go to hrrn.podbean.com on your computer and click follow, or download the Podbean app and search HRRN. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts and listen to our latest episodes anytime. Don't miss a thing. Subscribe to our podcasts today.
It's time to go down the road to the Breeders' Cup on the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
And Life's Magic is set down for the stretch drive, but it is Princess Rooney who comes to the final furlong with a 2.5 length lead. Princess Rooney, Eddie De La Jose now goes to the whip. She's in front by 3 lengths. And then it's Life's Magic now second down the inside. Farther back, Adored is third, and they're coming to the final 16th. Princess Rooney in a romp. Here's the champion. Here's the wire. Princess Rooney, an absolute runaway winner. And jockey Eddie De La Jose brandishes his whip in a salute of victory. This is the best filly in the land. Princess Rooney, an awesome performance this afternoon.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome that day. Princess Rooney winning the inaugural Breeders' Cup Distaff. Today she's remembered with the Princess Rooney Stakes at Gulfstream Park. Brian Nadeau, the handicapper at Gulfstream, set to join me coming up to kick off hour 2 in just a few minutes at 9 o'clock Eastern. Princess Rooney, if you don't remember her, maybe that was a little before your time, but 17 for 21 lifetime. She had 2 seconds and a third. She earned $1.3 million back in the early to mid 80s. And Tom Durkin had that call. That was, that first Breeders' Cup in 1984. We knew right away that this concept was going to be a massive success. You remember the first Breeders' Cup Classic. Slew of Gold, Gate Dancer, Wild Again, the 3 of them coming down to the wire. If you wanted to put the best against the best, we found out it could happen in an event like the Breeders' Cup. And it's continued ever since then. 6 weeks away from this year's Breeders' Cup. Again, Brian coming up to kick off hour number 2. We'll get a chance to talk about the Princess Rooney this year. It's a win and you're in for the Filly and Mare Sprint division. Will we see the winner of this year's Filly and Mare Sprint come out of that Princess Rooney Stakes? What a special. By the way, we're going to be celebrating Princess Rooney Week here on the network coming up in just about 1 week from today. 10 days from today. We kick it all off, and that's all presented by Keeneland Sales. Of course, Princess Rooney, a Keeneland Sales graduate. All right, hour 2 of the Equine Forum coming up next, right after this 10-second pause for station identification. This is the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes to talk.
This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
1 hour down, 2 to go here on the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Welcome back to the second hour of the program. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch, with you. On this Saturday morning, Brian Nadeau set to join me momentarily to take a look at the Princess Rooney and a really rock-solid card at Gulfstream this afternoon. Brian Hernandez Jr., the man who is going to be aboard Thorpedo Anna in the Grade 1 Cotillion this afternoon, is set to be here at 9:20, and at 9:40, Tom Law will fill you in on all things Pennsylvania Derby, so stay tuned for that. Hour 3 begins at 10 a.m. Eastern with the TwinSpires Triple Play. Kevin Kilroy will give you 3 races you can keep an eye on later this afternoon. Kurt Becker, Stroll Through Racing History at 10:20. I Ask, They Answer with Dale and Tim coming up at 10:30. And if you missed any portion of the first hour of the program, all you have to do is head back to our website, horseracingradio.net. You can listen to the podcast, my conversation with Brad Cox and with Chris Hartman, all part of that first hour of the show. And if you don't do our website and you want to go to your favorite podcast platform, you can do that too. Whether it's Apple Podcasts or Google or Spotify or Podbean, doesn't matter. Type in Horse Racing Radio Network and follow along with this show and all the podcasts we bring your way each and every week, including our Wednesday Trainer Talk show, the Brisnet Call-In Show on Thursdays, the First Bet Racing Show also on Thursdays, and on Fridays we bring you the Weekend Stakes Preview. Make sure you check that out as well. Well, I mentioned it's a busy day down at Gulfstream. There are 4 stakes races. The highlight is the Grade 3 Princess Rooney, and Brian Nadeau joins me live from South Florida now. Brian, good morning.
Hey, Mike, good to hear from you. It is a good morning and a big weekend here at Gulfstream Park, and always good to catch up with you as well.
Yeah, huge weekend. Win in your in action. The only win in your in event anywhere in the country or around the world this weekend is at Gulfstream with the Princess Rooney. And I was just talking about Princess Rooney. We played the call of her winning the Breeders' Cup Distaff in 1984, the original running, the inaugural running, and that was her final career start. But man, I am so happy that she is remembered on this particular day.
Yeah, it's been a huge race down here, too. Obviously, she was a great mare in her day, and we're happy to have the race. And as you mentioned, a springboard to the Breeders' Cup, and it's been a successful one as well. The winner last year ran a kind of a long shot third, so that was cool to see. And, we've got a couple strong favorites this year, Mike, that are certainly not out of the realm of possibility with making a dent in the race this year at Del Mar.
All right, tell me about the main players in this year's renewal.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, the local horse is Beth Stream, and she has been absolutely streaking for Victor Barboza, Mike. She's won 4 in a row. She's 8 for 10 here at Gulfstream Park, and essentially she's just beaten up on everybody here. She's just way better than anybody locally that we have here, and I'm excited to see her step up, Mike. And this is kind of sort of, a national race because of the Breeders' Cup implications, certainly as well, because she deserves this shot. She's 9-5, second choice on the morning line because she deserves to be. And she's all racehorse. And Victor Barboza, he's brought her around a little bit. She's won stakes at Monmouth Park as well. And I'm really hoping she runs well, Mike, because I feel like she's earned this opportunity, and it's always good to see these kinds of horses that have sort of progressed through the ranks, fire a big shot when everybody's kind of looking at them.
Very similar to Fibber, who is going in the Grade 3 Dogwood at Churchill today, and I had a chance to visit with Chris Hartman, her trainer, in the first hour of the program. And, Brian, that's exactly what she is doing, stepping up through the ranks. She goes allowance, listed stake. Now she's in a Grade 3. We're seeing the same type of progression, similar anyway, with Best Dream going in this spot this afternoon.
Yeah, exactly, Mike. And, you don't see any graded races on her resume. But, in the summer here, as you know, and everybody knows, we have the championship meet here, which we're looking forward to. But in the summer, there's not a lot of opportunities for graded kind of stakes races. And she gets one here. She's going to meet a real tough customer, though, in Soul of an Angel for Saffie Joseph Jr., who I'm sure everybody is familiar with, almost beat the champion Idiomatic there at Monmouth. With a stretch-long duel that she just came up a head short in the Molly Pitcher. Saffie Joseph Jr., since he took over, has really got her going good. And I kind of feel like, Mike, at the end of the day, a one-turn, 7-furlong mile race like the Ruffian was at Aqueduct when she absolutely ran off the screen. I mean, that could be kind of her MO and her jam. So she is 0 for 10 at Gulfstream Park, but she's never run here with Saffie. So I kind of feel like you can maybe throw that out the window. And she actually ran so good to Honor Delady, a Saffie horse in the Royal Delta when she was with Gerald James. So I really fought this, Mike, and I ended up making Soul of an Angel just a tepid 8-5 over Beth Stream at 9-5 on the morning line. But it certainly could go either way by post time.
Was that only because of the fact that Soul of an Angel has been competing in Grade 1 and Grade 2 races, whereas Best Dream, as we just talked about, is just making her Greatest Stakes debut for the most part?
Yeah, it's a couple different things, Mike. Certainly that's half of it because people are going to see that. And then the other thing is that it's Saffie. And if they have a saddle tall on them in the paddock in a walking ring and it's trained by Saffie, they're going to bet them. The form almost doesn't matter. So I factored those two things. When I first made this line, I just auto defaulted to Beth Stream as the favorite because you look at her PPs and she's always been odds on. She's won so easily in her last several starts. And then the more I looked at it and the more I thought about it, and you see losing to Idiomatic by a head, and you see those graded races and you see the one-turn race in the Ruffian, the Grade 2, when she just aired. I said, you know what? I think they're going to come to Soul of an Angel. And as you can see kind of on this morning line, it's those two, and then everybody else is a little distant, and anybody else would be, quite frankly, would be an upset because the form of the two favorites really does, speak volumes to how good they are and how tough they're going to be.
Yeah, I should clarify, too, with Best Dream. I said Greatest Stakes debut. That's at Gulfstream Park. She did run in the Grade 3 Molly Pitcher Stakes in 2022 at Monmouth, but now this will be her first Greatest Stakes start at Gulfstream Park. Give me an upsetter. You said that it would be an upset if anybody other than those two were to win the race. Who do you have your eye on as a horse that can upset the apple cart?
Well, I think the horse that could upset, because as good as Mary Quite Contrary is, and she's a multiple graded stakes winner here at Gulfstream Park, you just look at her PPs, and she's been thumped by Beth Stream in her last two starts. So it can't be her, right? So you look at Hall and Ice for Saffie, and I know she's going to run against older horses for the first time, stakes horses at least. And she did stub her toe at Charlestown in the Oaks last time, but, that's a two-turn race, Mike, and we all know how funky that track can be. You turn back and look at her Azalea when she was absolutely awesome. It was the second start for Saffie and C2 and company since the private purchase at Oaklawn. That race is not going to really scare Soul of an Angel or Best Dream, but it puts her, Mike, within shouting distance. And if maybe the two favorites, regress or something weird happens, she is not that far behind on paper. So I think she would probably be the one I would lean to if there was going to be an upset.
Yeah, 8-1 on the morning line. So it would be an upset. Maybe not the biggest upset we've seen in terms of the odds or the morning line odds, what we're looking at here. But, yeah, Brian, certainly a bit of an upset considering the accolades that the top two and the credentials that the top two to the race with them. And that Princess Rooney, by the way, is part of a tremendous card. It goes as race number 10, 5:35 Eastern as the post. You know, one of the races that's on that card is the Bob Humphrey Turf Sprint, and that was always a really fun race that was held as part of the Summit of Speed Day at Calder. Yep. Of course, when Calder closed, the entire Summit of Speed program moved over to Gulfstream Park, and now it's kind of split, if you will, because the Smile Sprint is run on a whole different day. But the Bob Humphrey Turf Sprint is really a fun race.
It is, Mike, and it's got a really good horse, too, and that's XY Speed, who Mike Lerman has done a phenomenal job with. And his 3 races here at Gulfstream in March, April, and May were huge. I mean, obviously you've got Cogburn, okay, who's clearly, the by far the best turf sprinter in the country, but you look at XY Speed's 3 races here, and they're certainly not against graded stakes caliber competition, but they stack up with anybody really else, the turf sprint division. If you just want to go by buyers, they're not going to be throwing out, 108s or 10s, Cogburn, but aside from them, so XY Speed has been running huge figures, 102, 99s, and he's done it a couple different ways. We kind of thought of him as a one-run closer, and then in his win in May when he was chasing 42-4, I said to myself, wow, if he's going to win races like that, then he's a big, big threat anywhere. And Mike brought him up to Monmouth. Don't hold that loss against him, Mike, and everyone, because what happened was that was during the time when all that craziness was going on with the weather at Saratoga. He was entered in the Troy, and then they had to cancel that race. And so Mike was kind of a little bit of a rock in a hard place. He went to Monmouth, and, he ran okay, but he didn't run his A race. If he runs his race on Saturday, Mike, they're just not going to beat him. He's really, really good, and the rest of this group is a little suspect. And a horse like Reef Runner is a nice caliber horse, but he's stepping up and facing older horses. This is XY Speed. He's even on the morning line, Mike, and he could be a heck of a lot lower than that because he deserves to be. His form just lays over this group.
No upsetters in this field. You think it's all about XY Speed?
Yeah, the only thing I could say is if somebody gets loose, but then you look at the field and there's just other speed that wants to cancel each other out. What I would say, Mike, is maybe a horse like Omaha City. I don't think he can win the race, but he is going to come from off the pace. And if maybe the speed kind of cancels each other out a little bit, well, you take the easy favorite on top and maybe you get some value underneath with an Omaha City who could pick up a lot of pieces, albeit not, winning pieces. But maybe he spices up the exacta because he's probably going to be a pretty big number in there.
Talking with Brian Nadeau, the longtime Gulfstream handicapper, does a fantastic job alongside his partner, Ron Nicoletti. Hey, by the way, I was watching Ron the other day on the simulcast feed, and it's so great to see him out there doing his thing, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, if there's a word better than great, that would be it, because he missed so much time, and by now everybody knows, the scenario, but for him to come back, and he came back Pegasus weekend last year, and it really meant a lot to him to be able to get back because, quite frankly, Mike, he really wasn't sure if he was going to. And to see him progress like he has, and then, hell, who cares about the working aspect? Just to see him being how healthy he is and feeling good. And then he did come back and has been working and, of course, hasn't missed a beat. Ronnie's Ronnie. And it's phenomenal to have him here. And
all I could think about, Brian, not to interrupt you, but all I could think about was the fact that when we started broadcasting the Summit of Speed races from Calder, when we were first starting the network, Ronnie was Mr. Calder, right? He was always part of South Florida racing, but certainly part of that day. And I was watching him on the feed, and I'm like, yeah, we have to talk about the Princess Rooney and this particular card on this Saturday program.
Yeah, for sure. Because you said it perfectly, Mike. He is South Florida racing. It's as simple as that. You can, think of other tracks around the country and the the guys and the gals who are synonymous with those tracks. And when you think of South Florida and you think of Calder and you think of Gulfstream Park, it's Ron Nicoletti, point blank. So to get him back here, and now we got the team with Samantha and I, and to have him firing on all cylinders is just great. And I said this a second ago, but it's like, you almost take it for granted. The work aside, who cares about that? Just the fact that he's back and just feeling good and healthy and, bike riding again and doing all that stuff is awesome, because, there was just honestly a time where we weren't sure if he was going to get back here or not. So we try not to take that for granted. And, every day he's in the office, as you know, is a fun, pleasurable day, and on the set.
Yeah, I'm a huge Ron Nicoletti fan. I love him personally and certainly professionally. I think he's fantastic. Winter racing's true good guys. Brian, there are two other stakes races on the program. You have the Aventura, which is race number 9, following the Princess Rooney, and then the Ginger Punch, which will wrap it up as race number 11. Any storylines or horses that jump out to you in those two races that we should keep an eye on?
Well, I can finally give you at least a price, Mike, and maybe something clever. The Aventura is a tricky race. It's a one-turn mile. We'll stretch out these 2-year-olds. And if you watch these races down here at Gulfstream, these one-turn miles, you can get strung out fields where if you get to that far turn and you're 3 or 4 lengths back, it's tough to make up ground. And I don't really know how good Carambasso is, the 4-horse, but he looks like he can control in here. He's going to stretch from 6 to 8 furlongs. He's got the pedigree that says it could be within his scope. He is stepping up into open company as a Florida bred. I'm going to see if he can get brave in there, Mike, at a price, and just maybe kind of take a deep breath and hope he forgets to stop. The finale, the Ginger Punch on the turf. I mean, my goodness, throw a dart at the board. It's a really, really good race, because you have the gang from the race, the Monroe race, okay, where Towser was second, Angel Nadeshiko was third, and Charlie's Wish was fourth. And I can't really separate them. And the latter two drew much, much better than Towser, who's in the parking lot in the 12 post. So I've got to use all of them. You've got the 3-year-old filly Majestic Venezuela stepping up to meet Older, but she looked good winning the Miss Gracie last time, and she's 2 for 2 on the turf here. So she's got a little edge there. They're going to bet Violet Gibson, who on paper, Mike, it's Safi and Edgard. If you use speed figures, she needs a head start to beat this field. She's so slow, but they're going to bet her, and it's Edgard and Safi, and she is second off a long, long way off. She got up last time in the shadow of the wire. You would expect her to improve. So this is the type of race, that I think a lot of people, especially the Rainbow, which pays out, it's a mandatory day on Sunday, so that'll be huge. But this is the type of race. We've talked about the other stakes. I don't necessarily know, Mike, if you need to try to get too clever in the other stakes, the old, don't look for something that might not be there. But when you're talking about the Ginger Punch in the finale, that could be the race where something real funky happens. It blows up a little bit. A horse like Show Off, another Safi who's going to get ignored. Strand of Gold for Nolan and Ken Ramsey has got back form. There's a lot of different ways you can go in there, and a lot of different darts you could throw at the wall and hope something lands.
First post, 12:45 Eastern, the first of 11 races at Gulfstream Park. Tremendous card. The Grade 3 Princess Rooney, a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint Division. Brian, great to catch up, my friend. Great stuff as always, and I'll look forward to hearing from you down the road.
Yeah, Mike, always a pleasure, and we'll catch up soon. Thanks again.
Enjoy the races. Brian Nadeau here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Yeah, fantastic program. And you heard him talk about that Ginger Punch, trying to decipher that race. If Brian can't figure it out, it's a tough race. And a lot of different ways to go. Maybe that's the one. You just hit the all button. You hope for something crazy to happen, and you bolster your tickets. You try to key on a couple of those shorter price horses he mentioned in the races before it, and then take your shot with the all button in the last race and hope you catch a bomb. Great stuff from Brian. When I come back, I will turn my attention to another Brian. That is Brian Hernandez Jr., the Derby winner, the Oaks winner, and the man who's going to try to win the Cotillion with Thorpedo Anna later today. This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
Race the TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Talking with Dr. Jim Chiappetta of Flair Equine Nasal Strips. Jim, do the strips help with EIPH?
Essentially, all horses that work hard are vulnerable to EIPH. As with any elite athlete, we are pushing performance horses to their physiological limits, and when we do, things can break. In this case, blood vessels in the lungs. Nothing stops EIPH. Only two things have been clinically proven to reduce EIPH: Flair strips and Lasix. Alone or with Lasix, Flair strips protect horses from EIPH.
Learn more at flairstrips.com/learn. It's time now to shine the spotlight on the Darley Taking the Reins Performer of the Week.
LaCara up for the lead right at the 8th pole. In the meantime, Iconomama comes through toward the rail, and Liam in the Dust fights on between them. They race for the finish. LaCara's in front, short of the wire, and she will do it. LaCara from off the pace.
Daughter of Street Sense, LaCara comes from off the pace to win the Grade 3 Pocahontas, making her your Darley Taking the Reins Performer of the Week. Darley Stallion Street Sense. His daughter LaCara won the Grade 3 Pocahontas at Churchill last week, and his son Mackenzie sired the Grade 1 Hopeful winner from his first crop. And this past week, his son and current Darley Stallion Maxfield had $2 million yearlings from his first crop at Keeneland September. Learn more about all the Darley Stallions by visiting darleyamerica.com.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
And Sierra Leone is revving up fifth. He's 4 lengths off the new leader, Fierceness. 3/4 in 1:11 and 3. They're at the top of the stretch, and Fierceness takes command. Sierra Leone is coming with his run on the outside of Thorpedo Anna, who's currently second. They're in the final furlong. Johnny V asking Fierceness for everything he has. 3-length lead. Thorpedo Anna running her heart out and coming with every stride. Fierceness, Thorpedo Anna in an absolutely dramatic conclusion. The champ is back. Fierceness holds off a gallant Thorpedo Anna to win the DraftKings Travers. Sierra Leone was third.
Welcome back to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Mike Penna with you right up until 11 a.m. Eastern. That was Frank Miramati with the call of a thrilling Travers Stakes, won by Fierceness, Thorpedo Anna, and jockey Brian Hernandez Jr. making that courageous late run. Came up just a little bit short, and Brian is with me now. Brian, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Good. Just reliving that latest classic race. Man, did she run so well that day. Broke our hearts not to see her get up.
Yeah, she was gutsy in defeat, and we're proud of the effort she put in that day. Unfortunately, we came up a little bit short, but like I said, we're just very proud of the effort she put in against the top 3-year-old boys in the country.
Yeah, so many of us were cheering for her, but of course, Mike Rapoli's very happy she didn't get up. Todd Pletcher's pretty happy she didn't get up for the win. But walk me through the race. What was it like for you?
Yeah, it was one of those deals where she broke sharp, and it looked like we had a good spot going around the first turn, and we cruised around down on the inside, and going into the second turn, I thought I was following Dornack, and I thought he'd go on a little more, and then when he came up around the second turn a little dull, that we just kind of had to start working our way to try to get a run at Fierceness, and coming off the turn there, he got a little bit of a jump on us, and we tried to close deep and tried to make up the ground on him, but we just came up a neck short.
That's one of those situations where, as a rider, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, but I imagine it's very difficult to anticipate that a horse like Fierceness is going to, you said he got away from you, kind of spurt clear, and then you have to make up that ground in the late stages. Can you anticipate that that's going to happen?
No, I mean, you have to kind of anticipate it because knowing how good of a horse Fierceness is, with him drawing the outside like he did that day, he was able to kind of get that perfect outside stalking position, and we were down on the inside, and we were just unfortunate with the draw. We didn't get the best looks in the draw. But in those kind of races, you kind of figure stuff like that's going to happen because in those big Grade 1 races like that, those horses, they tend to show up and bring their A game, and that's what he did on Travers Day.
So many people going into the Travers were talking about Thorpedo Anna as maybe the best 3-year-old of any sex in the country. And coming out of the Travers, I think a lot of people will still look at her in that same light because of the effort that she put in that day.
Yeah, I don't think she lost anything in being second in the Travers. I think it actually kind of made her star rise more than anything, just that she was able to put in that kind of effort because, she's beaten up on the fillies pretty easily all year. So for her to be able to step up and run a big race like she did against the boys, it just showed that what a true talented filly she is.
Now she comes back in the Cotillion, 1 1/16. She is going to be a very heavy favorite in there. Let's talk about Parx for a minute. How much different is Parx than riding at Saratoga in terms of the surface, the configuration, whatever it might be?
Yeah, it's a mile racetrack, so it's a little different with Saratoga being a 1 1/8. But so far this year, I mean, everything we've asked her to do, she's kind of brought her game with her, from Oak Lawn to Churchill up to Saratoga. So, we're just going into the Cotillion thinking that she's got a big chance, and she seems to be doing well training wise in the mornings and stuff like that. So we're going into it. It's a Grade 1, so we know that she's going to have to run her A+ race because those kind of races they're never given to, there's a reason that they put that Grade 1 status on them. The best of the division is going to show up in the Cotillion. So we're just going to go into there really optimistic and just let her do her thing.
You have ridden some really good horses in your career, Brian, but Thorpedo Anna appears to be that special one. When you get a leg up aboard her before she goes out onto the track for the post race or for the pre-race, what are those moments like for you?
Yeah, that's the nice thing about her is she's just so naturally talented and gifted that she makes my job really easy. She once we get her out in the post race, she tends to get a little warm and stuff in the paddock. But then once she gets out there and kind of gets her game face on, she knows what time of the day it is and how to do her job. So like I said, it just makes my job a whole lot easier because all I got to do is be a good passenger and just stay out of her way and just try to give her the best trip possible.
Brian Hernandez Jr. with me here on the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network. More than 2,600 victories to his credit. And Brian, back in August, you received a very special honor. You were designated as the winner of the 2024 Mike Venezia Memorial Award, which is given out by your peers. Tell me what that meant to you.
Yeah, that meant the world, because with all the respect we have for Mike Venezia and the family man he was, it's a huge honor. I know when Richard Migliore came up to the Jockstream and told me that I was going to be the recipient of the Mike Venezia Award, it was a special moment. And then to be able to have my wife and kids, and then my parents came in, that was their first time coming up to Saratoga. So to be able to kind of experience that with all of them, it meant the world. It put a big exclamation point on the year we've had so far this year, and it's a very, very shining moment for us.
You had a quote in the press release that was sent out about the award where you said, "As a rider, I try to win races on the track and represent the sport as best I can off the track." And I love that. How much has your responsibility changed since you've won the Kentucky Derby this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely put a different spotlight on me, that's for sure. And it's been really, really rewarding to be able to just try to do as many events as possible and just kind of be fans and just enjoy the whole thing. That's the biggest thing I keep telling myself and telling everyone. We're enjoying this year and just enjoying everything that That's for sure.
You know, when people win the lottery, they say, oh, or if they haven't won the lottery, they'll say, if I win the lottery, it's not going to change my life at all. I'm still going to be the same person. I'm going to do the same things. I'm going to drive the same car, going to live in the same house, whatever it might be. How about for you? Has winning the Kentucky Derby changed your life in any way?
I mean, it's changed our lives just with we got a little more recognition, and it's just better horse teams. But in the same aspect, it hadn't changed a whole lot. I'm still out here at the farm helping Jamie on the farm, and we have the 3 kids, so we've been staying busy with them, and it's just life's gotten a little more hectic with all the traveling and stuff like that. But at the same time, we're still just trying to go to work every day, show up, and try to find that next Derby winner.
That is such a great point. People they don't often realize when they see athletes in any sport that, listen, that's their job. That's what they do. But they also have a regular life outside of that job where they're raising kids and they're going to school meetings and they're doing all these different things. So how do you balance that, Brian, as a professional athlete with the 3 kids, with your family? How do you keep all of that together?
Well, I'm pretty fortunate because my wife, she does such a great job. She's so supportive of everything that's going on and everything that, getting to this point in our career. And that's been the biggest help between her and my agent, Frank Bernice. They kind of keep everything organized and keep everything in line. And it just makes it where I can go out and do my job, just stay focused on that.
Well, you're doing it very well, man, and it's been a magical run, and I know we've talked a few times this year, and hopefully we get a chance to do it a few more times. All the best in the Cotillion and with all the horses you're going to ride, and more importantly, Brian, every time you get a leg up, very safe trip.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Oh, hey, by the way, before I let you go, one other question. I threw a poll question out to our listeners this morning. Tomorrow is National Ice Cream Cone Day, so I'm asking them what their favorite flavor of ice cream is. I've given a few choices: vanilla, chocolate, or mint chocolate chip, and then they can choose any other category or any other flavor that they like and let us know. How about for you? What's your favorite flavor?
You know what? I'm not a very big ice cream person, but in the case of ice cream, my agent, Frank
no
Bernice,
one ever?
Yeah, I know. I'm just not a big ice cream guy. I don't know what it is. Never really. I think it's just too sweet. But Frank, every time I'll ride a bad race or something, he busts out the pint of fish food to kind of help settle down.
Fish food?
Fish food, yeah. It's some Ben and Jerry thing he loves.
I have never heard of that. And that's what I get for asking a jockey about eating sweets, right?
Exactly. We don't get that option too often.
Well, buddy, listen, I appreciate it. Go get them. Good luck in the Cotillion, and good luck the rest of the way. We'll talk soon. All right, Brian Hernandez Jr. here on HRRN. Fish food? I don't know. I never heard of that one. All right, when I come back, we'll talk more about the Pennsylvania Derby and the Cotillion. We'll do that with Tom Law. This is the Equine Forum presented by TwinSpires on HRRN, horse racing's voice.
Race the TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Fans, our live meet here at Santa Anita Park will return on Friday, September 27th. And the first ever California Crown Day at Santa Anita will be held on Saturday, September 28th. It is a day that will include the $1 million California Crown Stakes, along with 2 Grade 2 stakes worth $750,000 each. It will also include premium compound experiences with incredible food and beverage options, along with world-class live musical performances, interactive experiences, and with cutting-edge technology. Griffin, Little Yachty, and Shabuzi are just some of the live acts that will be performing. You can get tickets at CaliforniaCrown.com. For additional information regarding our autumn meet, go to SanAnita.com. California Crown Day, Saturday, September 28th, will be an unforgettable day of world-class racing and world-class entertainment that you will not want to miss here at the Great Race Place, Santa Anita Park.
After an exhilarating day at the Breeders' Cup races on Friday, November 1st, don't miss Thoroughbred Charities of America's Bash at the Breeders' Cup at the Del Mar Hilton, directly across the street from the racetrack. Immerse yourself in a night of savory bites, handcrafted cocktails, live music, and an opportunity to bid on extraordinary items, all in support of Thoroughbred Charities of America. For tickets and more information, please visit tca.org.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
They're at the midway point of the far turn. Moreno still holding on to the lead. Fury Cap Corey working harder to keep up. Romanche on the outside. Here comes Battier. Battier making a big move on the far outside. Transparent also begins to get involved. Will Take Charge takes his run to the inside. Wide open as they come down to the last furlong. Will Take Charge comes surging through on the inside. Will Take Charge, a big run to take the lead. Battiel on the outside now second, Moreno third. It's the Travers winner, Will Take Charge. He comes from off the pace and look at Will Take Charge. The big colt has done it again. Will Take Charge by 2.5 over Moreno. Battier finished third.
Back with you on the Equine Forum, Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch, looking forward to a spectacular afternoon of racing at Parx. That was the call from 2013. Will Take Charge getting the victory in the Pennsylvania Derby for the coach, Dwayne Lucas. He'll try to do it again with the Preakness winner, Seize the Gray, later this afternoon. Tom Law is with me now. He has been working tirelessly to keep up with all the storylines and all the major players in not just the Pennsylvania Derby, but the Cotillion and the other stakes races scheduled for Parx. Tom, good morning.
Morning, Mike. How you doing today?
I am well. How are you?
I'm awesome. It's great to be on with you and out here at Parx, getting ready for the day. It's going to be a huge day, like you said, and I wasn't here in that 2013 running that I did hear the call for. I remember it well, and I've been spending a little time with the coach this week. It's been kind of fun. He was the only one here for a while, as far as horsemen go, that at least trainers that are in the big races. So a lot of fun to catch up with him as always, and hear lots of cool stories and some stuff I never even heard before from him, which is cool.
Don't you find when you're talking with Wayne Lucas that you just want to sit back and just be quiet and let him talk?
Oh, absolutely. So many times I go back, whether it's Saratoga or the Triple Crown races, anytime you're interviewing somebody and you listen to your interview and you're like, why don't you just shut up? Like, don't interject while they're trying to talk. Like, just let them roll, just turn the tape recorder on and just let him go. And especially him. I mean, he's somebody that, he's got so many stories, but man, it's incredible just to be around him, and a lot of fun, we're talking a lot about almost anything but the race and his horse. We do talk about that too, but he's talking about going over to the casino and, telling funny stories about himself, being very self-deprecating, which is pretty refreshing. It was cool.
Yeah. Yep. He's fantastic. And we'll see if he can pull it off with Seize the Gray. I was a bit surprised, and I'm going to bring this up with Dale and Tim when they join me for I Ask, They Answer at 10:30 to end up the program here today. But I was surprised that Dragoon Guard was the morning line favorite over a Classic winner in Seize the Gray and over a Grade 1 winner in Stronghold. Were you surprised?
No, not really. I think it could go any way. I'm anxious to see how the wagering goes, but Dragoon Guard's a horse that, he's by Arrogate. He's kind of a late developing horse. Cox has been high on him. In fact, during the summer when I did the stable tour with him up in Saratoga for the special, he talked about Dragoon Guard. He wasn't in Saratoga at the time, but he had just won the Indiana Derby maybe a few weeks before. And Brad was tempted to run him in the Travers. He even told me, he said, I'm really tempted to run him in the Travers. He feels like he's the kind of horse that fits with the upper echelon 3-year-olds. Obviously, he went a different route. He ended up going to West Virginia Derby maybe just a few days later, actually, after he and I did that stable tour. But in anticipation of running in this race, that was a prep for this, which is kind of the ultimate, at least right now, the ultimate goal for this colt. Brad won it last year with Saudi Crown. So I think that's probably had something to do with him being the morning line favorite. But, those other two, as you mentioned, the other two Grade 1 winners in field, Stronghold and Seize the Gray. Stronghold was second to him last time, so I guess that makes sense that maybe you put him behind him. And Seize the Gray hasn't been out since the Jim Dandy. Wayne shows up in the big dances, and Seize the Gray did not show up in the Travers. So maybe there's a question mark with him. Wayne has talked about the horse showing some signs of maybe he was a little colicky even before the Jim Dandy at Saratoga, and he was almost tempted to scratch him in the paddock after the tack got put on him, but he didn't. He went ahead and ran, and obviously finished fourth, and kind of a non-threatening fourth in there. But I actually like the fact that he's maybe a little fresh coming in here. He's a horse that's done well, fresh. Obviously won his race off the layoff back in February at Oaklawn, and he could be tough in here. Drawn inside. He's got speed, doesn't have a ton of speed around him, so he's going to be able to kind of dictate what he wants to do in here, maybe like he did in the Preakness. With a lot of speed to his outside, obviously. So we'll have to see how that shakes out. Yeah.
Outside of those three horses, who rightfully so are going to get a lot of attention in the Pennsylvania Derby, what other horses can find a way to throw a fly into the ointment and win this thing?
Well, I don't want to hurt my price, but I'm kidding. I actually think Doc Sullivan from the Rail. He's a New York bred Salamini colt, who ventures out of the New York bred ranks just for the second time. He won an allowance race at Aqueduct back in May for Mike Maselli, obviously a very little-known guy outside of New York, former jockey, pretty decent trainer. He wins his share of races kind of in New York from time to time. His horse is New York bred. He's always finishes well in his races. He was second in the Albany last time behind Panda Gate, who was briefly considered for this spot. Just a kind of a developing kind of horse that shows up all the time. Look at his record. 4 wins, 4 seconds, and a third from 9 starts. He's never been out of the money. But like I said, he is venturing out of the New York bred ranks for the first time. But the mile and eighth, the stretch out seemed to help him in his two-turn races. Were both very good. He's a stakes winner. He's run against good horses. It seems like the only times he loses is against Panda Gate, who might have been a player in here if he ran. He's a horse that ran outside of the state bred ranks as well. He's not in the field, but I do like him a little bit. Bill Mott always should be considered the 4 timeout. He's a Curlin. Yep. So, he's going to be a late development type horse. He comes out of a good race at Saratoga against older horses. He was third in the Unmatched Wisdom race, the Curlin 2 starts back. And Unmatched Wisdom, of course, is in here as well.
Yeah, I was waiting for you, Tom, to get to somebody like Bill Mott and Todd Pletcher. It's funny because when I asked you for your pick, and you went to Mike Maselli, and I thought for sure he's going Bill Mott, Todd Pletcher, Chad Brown.
Yeah, I threw you for a loop, didn't I?
Did not see that one coming.
But, however, you did notice that I kept it in my New York roots, right? I went New York bred even, with Doc Sullivan. But he's just, how racing is. It's funny, right, Mike? Sometimes you get these feelings, right? And you're just kind of like, I just have a feeling that horse has a chance in here. Maybe he's not going to win it, but he might be able to get a piece. He's 12-1 on the line. He's got Jose Ortiz riding him. Maybe we'll take a shot in here, right?
Yeah, why not? The Pennsylvania Derby, by the way, goes as race number 13 on 14 race program. Post time 6:10 Eastern. It's a long day of racing in Bensalem, Pennsylvania. How about the Grade 1 Cotillion? Thorpedo Anna is the story. Can anybody in this race beat Thorpedo Anna?
Well, if she runs a race, the obvious answer is no. If she maybe even throws in a B race, she's probably a winner. But, it's funny. I was talking to Todd Pletcher in Saratoga before I came down here this week, and he felt like the race came up pretty tough. He's like, it came up a lot tougher than I thought it was going to come up, even without Thorpedo Anna. So you have the two fillies from the Delaware Oaks, Power Squeeze and Sidorama, who Power Squeeze obviously came back and won the Alabama last time. And her trainer Jorge Delgado, he's pretty bullish on her chances. And then you have Tarifa, who at one time I talked to Brad about her the other day, and I was like, she was the favorite for the Oaks at one point. Obviously Thorpedo Anna, Thorpedo Anna wasn't even the favorite in the Kentucky Oaks, so they were about the same price, almost about 4-1, 5-1 for both of them. So she's got to be considered. She got a little bit of a freshening after the Kentucky Oaks, came back in a 7/8 prep race. She's obviously a horse that wants to run long. She's a Bernardini. This has always kind of been the target. The last race, the comeback race, wasn't really the target all along. So that's tough. Then you have a filly like Gunsong, who won the Black Eyed Susan from kind of an outside post with John Velasquez. She's kind of got an outside post in here. She has some speed. She can be maybe controlling speed in here, or at least being hounded by Thorpedo Anna to her inside, and then Mystic Lake to her outside. Mike Smith for Saffie Joseph. She won the race at Charlestown Oaks last time. Kind of a sprinter that's stretching out, but we've seen sort of sprinter middle distance really horses that are really good at that kind of trip do well in the Cotillion. Like I think of Society a couple of years ago. She won the Cotillion kind of gate to wire, and then obviously she's turned into a very nice filly and mare sprinter now, a real contender for the Breeders' Cup filly and mare filly and mare sprint, coming off the win in the Ballerina at Saratoga. So, but it's an intriguing race, with eight horses in there, a proper field. But Thorpedo Anna is obviously the star of the show. You kind of, it's hard not to root for her. I was rooting for her in the Travers, hoping she could get by. And I'm a Fierceness fan too. I picked him in the Derby. He was kind of like my horse. I liked him in the Jim Dandy. But I found myself kind of rooting for Thorpedo Anna there in the Travers to get up. It was a great race for her. I felt like maybe she was probably going to run the best race of her life in there, and she did in defeat. So if she were to come back in here today and get it done, she's it'll be a popular win here at Parx for sure.
I talked to Brian Hernandez Jr. in the last segment, and Brian was talking about that effort in the Travers, and I pointed out to him that going into the race, it seemed like most people were thinking, okay, she's the best 3-year-old of any gender in the country right now. And after being beaten in the Travers, considering how well she ran, I think most people are still looking at her as being the best 3-year-old in the country of any gender. Do you agree?
I tend to agree. Her resume certainly is the strongest. Now, take nothing away. Fierceness beat her on the square in the race. He won the race. And he's last year's champion, and he also won the Florida Derby and has kind of bounced back from a couple, his bad race in the Kentucky Derby and a bad race in the Holy Bull kind of to start his season. So he's redeemed himself. He's sort of shown that he's a horse that is going to be a real serious player by the end of the season. He could wind up Horse of the Year if he were to win the Breeders' Cup Classic. It'd be hard to deny him if he were to win the Breeders' Cup Classic, even if she were to win the distaff. Because he did beat her head to head. At least I would vote that way. Now, if that could very well change, as we all know. There's some pretty big heavyweights coming for the Classic. So it's not going to be a layup by any means. But she's as good as any 3-year-old we've had in the last several years for sure. She's a lot of fun, and appreciate Kenny and Brian and those guys, kind of the way they are with her, and kind of like really make her the centerpiece. And, they've kind of shared her with the public, which I think is amazing. I think it's something that we really need to keep doing in racing. And they've set the model for sure for how to do it.
Tom, there are a multitude of other stakes races on the program at Parx outside of the Cotillion and the Pennsylvania Derby. What are a couple of the other storylines or horses that have caught your eye?
Well, I mean, it's hard to we got to start and finish maybe with, or maybe not finish, but we certainly got to start with next in the Grade 3 Greenwood Cup. He's my favorite horse in training. I got to say, I the day he won at Saratoga in the Birdstone, I think I was busy. I was on deadline. I was doing this, that, and the other thing. But I was like, you know what? I'm going over there to watch next. I remember I went over there in my shorts and my T-shirt or something. I was working at the office, and I'm like, I just got to see him. I want to go see him again. And I've seen him run several times in the Brooklyn, and saw him win here last year in the same race. He won by 25 lengths last year. Of course, he won by 22 1/4. He's just cool. He just gets out there galloping and does his thing, and that's what racing's all about. You want to see horses that are happy and thriving, doing something that they enjoy doing. I mean, he's fun. Doug Cowens has done a great job with him. Masterful management. I mean, you wish everybody had a horse. Everybody wishes they could have a horse like him. Just send him out there and run, and he does his thing. He's a lot of people are wanting to run in the Jockey Cup, Gold Cup, or they wanted him to run in the Breeders' Cup, but he's happy doing what he's doing, and I heard him described as the claim of the century the other day, and it's hard to argue that, And then so he's been fun, and then then they got the Parx Dirt Mile. The Turf Monster is going to be a real interesting race. Super Quest, Mark Cassie's bringing him, and Senbei, Christophe Clement. So you got some pretty real capable turf sprinters in there. They're going to be tough. That's really, there's only 2 turf races today: the Alphabet Soup Handicap for PA breds, and the Turf Monster, the only 2 turf races. And then, of course, the Gallant Bob is always a real, good race. It's a real balanced race this year. I mean, it's hard to sort this group out. Nadeau is the favorite from the inside at 9-5 with IRAD. Comes off a runner-up finish in the Hilton Memorial at Charlestown on the Charlestown Classic Day after he had run in the Saudi Derby behind Forever Young and Bookham Dano, who obviously people know those 2 horses, 2 major Grade 1 type horses. So he's in there for Jose D'Angelo, kind of a young up-and-coming trainer. He's doing a great job. Not so up-and-coming, I guess, anymore. He's won almost 100 races already this year. But does a great job, real enthusiastic guy. I spent a little time with him this summer at Saratoga. He was fun to be around. And this horse trained briefly at Saratoga. I think they were thinking about maybe a race at Saratoga for him, and ended up going to Charlestown. But, he's a fun sprinter, cool horse, Florida bred. That race leads into the Cotillion and the PA Derby. And then, of course, the last race, you mentioned 14 races today. The last race is the inaugural Parx Sprint, which is, for older horses, 6.5, a big 11-horse field in there. And, Butch Reed's got 90% Maddie. Is kind of a Parx specialist, so to speak, and does well here. And Super Chow is in here. He's run at, I think 10 tracks in his career in 20 starts. So he's Jorge Delgado's horse as well. So they're hoping to have a big day with of course Power Squeeze and then Super Chow in that inaugural Parx Sprint. So it's going right up until 6:40 if they're on time. Maybe they'll end up being close to 7 o'clock. It's going to be a late finish to the day, but catch a little college football maybe after, hit the casino here, and have us a night maybe.
Well,
maybe
considering the first race, the first of those 14 goes at 11:35 a.m. Eastern. It is going to be a bit of a marathon day, but plenty of great racing action coming up at Parx, and Tom Law has been there along with my good friend Tim Wilkin and the team, getting you ready throughout the week, and they'll continue to do so. How's Timmy working out up there? Is he okay for you?
Oh, he's doing great. I mean, he's the lead. I always joke with him. I say, "You're the leader, man. You're the leader. You're the elder statesman." He hates it when I say stuff like that, but he does a great job. We just turn him loose, and he just goes and comes back with 5 stories every day, and he churns out the copy like there's nobody's business. He's a pro. I don't want to say old pro, but he's a pro. He does a great job. Anthony Affronte is on the team as well. Kind of bring him off the bench. He comes from he was a longtime writer for the Post way back when. He helps does it every year. He's doing it longer than Tim and I. And this year we got Paul Halloran, who works with me at the Special. Real great team player. He rounded out the squad. He's come the last few years for us for Mid-Atlantic Thoroughbred. And I said, I could use an extra body, on race day. Can you help us out, running quotes and doing all that stuff? So he got in on Friday and hit the ground running, and here we are for PA Derby / Cotillion Day. I always call it Pennsylvania Derby Day, but then I saw the sign out front that says Pennsylvania Derby and Cotillion Day. And I was like, maybe I need to start referring to it as that. Especially with Thorpedo Anna, right?
Thorpedo Anna
Day,
right? Don't disrespect Thorpedo Anna. 100%.
Heck no, I'm a huge
Tom,
fan.
listen, man, I appreciate the visit, and enjoy the day. It's going to be spectacular, and I'm sure we'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Mike, always a pleasure. As I always say, you and I, we go way back. I appreciate it, man.
Yes, we do. I'll talk to you soon. Tom Law on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Yeah, Tom and I started together at Thoroughbred Times. Remember Thoroughbred Times? Not even a thing anymore, but Tom and I were together there, and that's how I met him, and we had the common denominator of both being from the same part of the country, and he does an outstanding job. You can go to, by the way, thisishorseracing.com if you want to hear more from Tom, and he works with Sean and Joe Clancy and the team. They do great work. It's thisishorseracing.com, so follow them there. When I come back, I'll take a look at a historical date in racing history or two as it applies to this weekend, and I'll tell you what's ahead in hour number 3. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
James Brown and Bill Cowher welcoming you back to Dennis Melvin's house. It's time for the Midnight Snack Run.
This is one tricky obstacle course. Sticking to healthy habits in this kitchen is going to take focus and determination, but it can be done, JB.
He's already entered the snack part of the course, and he's eyeballing a jar of chocolate candy.
That is tempting right off the start.
Uh-oh, he's reaching, Bill, but he pushes it away.
Great stiff arm.
He's approaching a plate of delicious-looking iced cookies.
Oh, Dennis, you only want one of those.
He blows right by him for the apple.
Oh, the fridge. It's make or break time, JB.
He stares down some rich-looking treats. Uh-oh, looks like he's headed for the soda. Wait, he jukes left, grabs the water bottle, and shuts the door with his elbow in record time.
Unbelievable move. I gotta see that again.
And he's out. He even turned off the light.
That's the way you execute a midnight snack run.
Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer.
Go to takeahealthystand.org.
All over America, people are taking the National Radon Test. Have you? Excuse me, have you heard of radon?
Is that a gas?
Is it something that comes up out the ground or something?
It's like poison gas. Something dangerous that you're supposed to check on to make sure it's not in your home.
Now it's your turn. Answer true or false. Radon is a radioactive gas. True, radon is a radioactive gas. True or false? The Office of the Surgeon General recommends that all homes be tested for radon. True, your home should be tested.
I didn't know that, no.
True or false, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer. True.
True, I didn't know that.
Radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer. Answer true or false. Homes with radon problems can be fixed. True. Homes with radon problems can be fixed.
So what do you do about it?
I'm going to dial the number and call.
1-800-SOS-RADON.
If I don't take care of it, nobody else will.
Keep your family safe from radon. Call now.
1-800-SOS-RADON. Mr. Rogers said, look for the helpers. Can always find people who are helping. Thank you to all the first responders who put their lives in danger to help us when my brothers and sisters need them. We look out for the helpers because they look out for us. Thank you, first responders! Thank you, first responders!
Learn how you can help first responders by texting BRAVE to 24365.
Hey, this is Bobby Newman. Join me every Friday afternoon to dive deep into handicapping the races. We'll cover the live action from some of the biggest tracks in the country, talk to some of the major players in the game, and hopefully make a little money along the way. You can can also call the show to share your opinions, ask a question or two, or maybe just vent about some bad beats. It's Betting with Bobby every Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern on Sirius 162, XM 207, online channel 999, or streaming live at horseracingradio.net.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Poll question today, I'm asking you, with tomorrow being National Ice Cream Cone Day, what is your favorite flavor of ice cream? Keep the votes coming at HRRN on Twitter, Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook. And if you don't do that, you can email the show, mike@horseracingradio.net, and let me know your favorite flavor of ice cream in honor of National Ice Cream Cone Day. Quick look at a couple dates in racing history as they apply to this weekend. September 21st, 1940, the anniversary of the first time in history of photo finishes that a triple dead heat for first place was recorded. That happened at Willows Park in Victoria, British Columbia. And one more, September 21st, 1973, Secretariat had his first workout on a turf course, going a half mile in 48 3/5 seconds at Belmont Park. 2 hours down, 1 to go here on the Equine Forum. Be sure to stay with me for hour number 3. Plenty of more content coming your way. If your local station is leaving us at this time, continue listening to the third hour of the show nationwide, Sirius 162, XM 207, in the Louisville, Kentucky market on ESPN 680, or stream us at horseracingradio.net. Hour 3 of the Equine Forum straight ahead, right after I pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes to talk.
This is HRRN, horse racing's voice.
Leaving the 8th pole. Anybody's horse race. Summing along the rail has the lead. Sport Light, Classic Go-Go, past the tap wall, closing in. In deep stretch, Summing is doggedly holding on to the lead. Summing wins the Pennsylvania Derby by a length and a half.
Have de Grace comes to the final furlong with a 3.5 length lead. Blind Luck is going to try to reel her in. Have de Grace has the lead. She's still clearing mid-stretch. Blind Luck is making her run on the outside, and now Blind Luck is flying. Here comes Blind Luck. Have de Grace, Blind Luck, they're going to be photoing again. Have de Grace has done it. Have de Grace holds on and wins it by a head over Blind Luck.
Welcome to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
Daylight for Musical Romance, and she's coming after the leader. Wild Bout Tiffany is also one with a chance, and Nicole H. just in behind Musical Romance. Musical Romance hits the front. Nicole H. quickly on the attack. Nicole H. Musical Romance. These two down to the line in the Princess Rooney. Musical Romance would not be denied in 2012.
Thank you, Mary Lou in front. Coming to the 8th pole, 2.5 lengths clear of Milam. Then Birdmaker to the outside, followed by Miz and Miss. Farther out comes Henny Jenny, Nothing Today. From 50 Shades of Gold, it's Thank You, Mary Lou. Thank You, Mary Lou and Miguel Mena have run off to victory in the Dogwood.
Now, here's Mike Penna.
Welcome back as we roll into the final furlong of the Equine Forum here this morning, all presented by TwinSpires. 2 hours down, 1 to go, and plenty of incredible content still to come, including the TwinSpires Triple Play, Kurt Becker's Stroll Through Racing History, that fantastic story about a gentleman named Oscar Dishman. You won't want to miss that. And then Dale and Tim at 10:30 Eastern with I Ask, They Answer. If you missed any portion of the first 2 hours of the show, head back to the website, horseracingradio.net. You can check out my interviews and conversations there. You can do that, too, on every podcast platform. And quick update on the poll question here. I'm asking you to weigh in on Twitter at HRRN or Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook, or email the show with your response. Tomorrow is National Ice Cream Cone Day. So in honor of that, I'm asking you to share your favorite flavor of ice cream, giving you a few choices: vanilla, chocolate, mint chocolate chip, which is my favorite, or any other flavor. And you can comment with your choice. You can do that, too, by emailing the show, whatever you'd like to do. But let us know your favorite flavor of ice cream So many of you taking time to reply. Certainly appreciate that. Time now to begin Hour 3 with the TwinSpires Triple Play. Kevin Kilroy is here this week to give you 3 races you can keep an eye on and bet at TwinSpires. Kevin, if you're going to pick your favorite flavor of ice cream, which one are you going with?
Back in the day, it used to be Rocky Road. I was a big Rocky Road guy as a child. And you know what? Recently, I love like a coffee ice cream, salted caramel. Some of those more like, all these little boutique ice cream spots, that pop up. I'm a sucker for those.
Yeah, dulce de leche.
I mean, yes. Yes to all of
it. Got that nice caramel flavor to it. Yeah, I'm a huge fan. Yeah, outstanding stuff. Well, listen, man, happy to have you aboard for the Triple Play. You've selected 3 races for our listeners this morning. They all come from Churchill Downs, races 7, 8, and 10, and I'm excited to jump right into it. So let's kick it off with race number 7. That is the Bourbon Flight Stakes. Great name for a race. Mile and 3/16, purse of $300,000. How'd you see it?
We got 6 in here, so not a big field, and we got Batten Down, Bill Mott's, Judd Mott runner in here that has just been facing tougher, right? And distance is good. You can make an excuse in the Travers for Batten Down that rail was bad August 24th at Saratoga. He was on it throughout, got to the lead, and just tired. So I think he's going to get bet hard, and I don't want to lose to him in my multi-race wagers. But Hades, the number 6 in here, I think is sneaky. So Joe Orsano ran this one in that Petramalo mile at Colonial Downs last time. That was going that 1 mile distance. And after, I was doing the notes for Colonial Downs, so talking to all these guys and getting their thoughts about the race, he was very clear saying this is a 1 mile and 1/8 horse. We want to go further with him. We just had to try one more time going short. Now, this is 1 mile, 3/16, so a little bit past that. But I think Hades is really going to improve going further based off that info. And 5-2 in the morning line, I would love to get 4-1 or higher to take a swing on the win end. But Hades, Batten Down, I think it's those 2. Real Macho seems a little bit dangerous because Tyler Gaffleon getting up. I'll tell you what, one horse I'm against is Elephant's Ear. Recent work for the number 2 in there I didn't like. Got beat very, very badly by a horse that's actually running earlier in the card, so a little extra one here. Race 5, Kim McPeak first-timer, Winning Fortune, has been moving well in the morning. 20-1 in the morning line, you're not going to get that. But Winning Fortune outworked Elephant's Ear in the morning, so look for that game winner colt to be live earlier in the day.
All right, but Hades, your top pick?
Hades, my top pick.
Yeah, Hades at 5-2, as you said. Maybe we'll get it, maybe we won't, but Hades, an interesting play, the winner of the Grade 3 Holy Bull Stakes earlier this season. He has not won since. He is 0 for 5, but Kevin, he's been knocking on the door, and I'm sure that's one of the reasons that you like him.
Yeah, and I just think that, people are going to question. I think the market's going to reflect. I think we're going to get a better price than 5-2. People are going to question whether he's getting the distance, whether it's the move, whether just throwing something at the wall. So hopefully we can get a little bit of value on that, on the number 6 in there.
That Luis Saez guy can ride a little bit too.
He can ride a little bit, and he's been getting live mounts. He's the guy that recently has just been like, oh, yeah, they're seeking out Louis. He's riding fantastic.
Yeah, great stuff. All right, so Hades in race number 7 for Kevin Kilroy, his top pick there. Again, you can play each of these 3 races we're talking about, and every race you're going to bet this weekend at TwinSpires, and that is the reason for the TwinSpires Triple Play. 3 races you can bet with TwinSpires. Let's go to the Grade 3 Dogwood Stakes, which is race number 8. This is the second race you have selected. The Fasig-Tipton Dogwood carries a purse of $300,000. It is 7/8 of a mile, 7 furlongs on the main track. Who wins this one?
This is a wide open race. This is an interesting race. You've got 2 from Phil Bauer. You've got Helena's Forte. You've got Legadima. Both of them seem very, very dangerous. Monoma Gold, that full sibling to Overcharged, who just one of the best sprinters to ever come out of Louisiana. And I wouldn't be surprised if she moved forward. I'm against My Main Squeeze. That's my main opinion in here, that 5-2 morning line favorite from Mike Maker. She won on the slop here in the 8 bells. I just think she can't be trusted on the win end. Fibber has been as good as they come. Claimed away from Calhoun by Hartman, and she's just moved forward in a big way. Now, she did it in allowance ranks, and then she did it, in a decent stake race there at Ellis Park. But her numbers, looking at Thoroughgraph, definitely fit really well with these. I think we draw nicely here towards the inside. So Fibber's my top pick. I do want to use Cap Classique, that Brittany Russell, Vino Russo filly, who they were just trying to figure out what to do with her, trying different distances, trying different surfaces, and she ran fantastic last time. Had some excuses in the past, so I think we're going to get some value underneath with that number 4, Cap Classique.
Yeah, that 7 furlong race at Colonial was solid, beating just a neck that day. So we'll see if she can make an impact. She's 12-1 on the morning line. Do you think we get 12-1 with her? Maybe higher?
Yeah, I do. I think we'll probably get, assuming everybody's in there, especially the Bauer runners and the favorite there, My Main Squeeze. I'd say it'll be north of 15-1. I think they just won't see this one coming. And a lot of times with that Colonial Downs track, it's very forward. It's very hard to pass horses. Seeing how she ran that day, I think it was very impressive. She moved forward, signaling to me, especially with these 3-year-olds, that another step forward could be coming. So would love to see that one work out a good rail trip with Corey Lannery aboard.
Fibber is 3-1 on the morning line. Where do you think your top pick ends up at post time?
I say right about there. I mean, I think, Hartman's runners get bet. They get bet pretty hard when they're live, and we'll be live in there. But I can't imagine south of that. And if it was south of that, I mean, if it was lower, if it was 5-2 or something like that, it'd be harder to bet to win. But Fibber's just been running so well. Everybody around here knows that his horses hold form very well. But Bauer's runners get bet big time as well. So you got a Bill Mott runner in there with Tyler Gaffalione up. That one will take money. You've got Dion Beach, who's dangerous. Todd Pletcher's got one. This is a really wide open race. So I think you do want to go for a little bit of a price in here. And I'd be interested at 3-1 with Fibber. I do think she's very dangerous in here. I wouldn't be surprised to see 4-1 or something like that too.
Well, if people think that the Dogwood is wide open, I don't know what they're going to think of race number 10, the third race you selected. This is the Seneca Overnight Stakes, 1 1/16, purse of $175K. It's a big field, lukewarm morning line favorite. There are so many ways you can go here. You talk about wide open, this is it.
This is it. I mean, you got Alpine Princess coming back, was on that Oaks trail for Brad Cox, been working very well, the type of work you want to see coming out of Cox Barnes when they're coming out of one. Miss Justify, I'm kind of against her. She just is one that, one that Wilton going 1 mile looked good, but I think she's just going to be overbet in here. Let's Talk About Me won't be in. The 13 won't be in. She ran on Friday. And Catalyst for Grant Forrester. I mean, last time Frankie Dettori was up on that one in the Alabama going far, it just went way too fast. 47 through a half, going 1 mile and a quarter. Way too fast. So I think she's dangerous in there, but there's a lot of speed to the outside. I'm going to go with Little Jamie in here, the number 4. I've just been impressed with her. I thought she ran very good against Scalable, who's in great form. Gunsong came out of that race and won a stake race. I think she's dangerous in here. I think she can be just stalking just a little bit off, but maybe track those front runners. Draws nicely. Would love to get 6-1 or higher on Little Jamie. And I do think Dazzling Move with Trombetta, the 3 in here. Another one that, just following Colonial, I've just got a real good take on some of these runners. And she's a little bit of a head case from my perspective. She just needs to have the right ride. She'll either just give it all and have nothing left. But if she can be just sort of rationed out and just work out a good trip, I think she's got a lot of talent. I think she's got more to show us. So I want to use her, but I do think that Little Jamie is the one that I'm going to use on top the most in here.
Number 8, Catalyst, defeated Little Jamie at Indiana a couple of starts back, the Grade 3 Indiana Oaks. It was only by a head. It was a really good race. Do you give Catalyst any chance in here?
I do. I mean, I'm a little bit nervous when you see a horse move forward and then bounce, but we do have an excuse with just going way too fast and just being fried in that Alabama. So, this is when I think about like just Grant Forrester's or the horses that he just does so well with, these front runners who never quit. that just keep on going. This is his style of filly. So I give her a big shot in here. I think the pace is a little bit tough. I think she's got some outside runners who are going to make things tough on her to try to get that lead. So that's the one question mark with Chattelis.
All right, let's recap the TwinSpires triple play for this morning from Kevin Kilroy. He goes with number 6, Hades, at odds of 5-2 in the 7th race at Churchill. Race number 8, Kevin will take number 2, Fibber, at 3-1. That is the Grade 3 Dogwood. And in race number 10, number 4, Little Jamie, at 8-1. A bit of an upset in that 10th race later today. We'll see if Little Jamie can pull that off for Kevin. Kevin, folks can follow along with your analysis and your selections on Twitter. At Trust Your Luck is the way that they can get in touch with you there. What's happening with TwinSpires and all the different wagering opportunities coming up this weekend?
Yeah, always that Derby City 6. Gotta love that wager. Always they got the big carryover to attack, 20-cent minimum. Jackpot if there's one ticket. Otherwise, 90% of it pays out. So it's not that true jackpot, which is a good thing. Love the pick 5. We've got 4 stakes right in a row, so you'll have that pick 4 to play with those. Great card. The September meet's so fun. All the 2-year-olds out here. I've been here since 5 a.m. watching the works. It's the best life in the world. Just hanging out the track, hearing stories, and watching these thoroughbreds run around and strut their stuff. So things are hot here. 2-year-olds look amazing. Love this crop, and excited to see how it all takes shape this fall.
Do you ever, Kevin, make a wagering decision based on what you see from a horse in their training in the morning, or maybe even in the paddock before the race?
100%, as much as I can. I think it's when you're looking for an edge, you just have to find your own sort of personal take, like what you really key in, or maybe what you have access to in terms of information that others don't. And I'm here. I can watch them work out, and I can finally say, this is my 4th year of really being deep in this stuff, and that my eye is getting pretty good in terms of what I'm seeing out there. But it just that's taken me, hundreds of hours of just watching the horses move. So the training is a big angle for me. I try to push on those, especially when I'm getting the price. And then, you don't always see something in the paddock, but when they're touting themselves, they're showing the other runners who's the alpha, and they've got game on their mind, and they just put that forward in a certain way. So what was that runner at Kentucky Downs? I think it was the first day. Lonnie Briley's runner looked so happy and so aggressive in the paddock in the post parade. Went off at like 24-1, and I bet that one just based off of that. And Kentucky Downs is definitely a track where you want to take a few more sort of crazy swings like that. But I love just looking at them in the flesh and getting a feel for how they're moving, what their energy is.
Kevin, good luck this weekend. Good luck with the triple play, and we will talk again soon, my friend.
All right. Hopefully we got some winners out there. Thanks for having me on, Mike.
All right. Appreciate the visit. Kevin Kilroy with the TwinSpires triple play. Bet those races and all the races you're going to play this weekend with TwinSpires. Coming up next, Kurt Becker takes you on that stroll through racing history. Again, another fantastic story about a gentleman named Oscar Dishman this week. And then I Ask, They Answer with Dale and Tim coming up at 10:30, and plenty to talk about there, too. This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
In 1993, Dr. John West showed that EIPH occurs during exercise when the blood vessels in the lung rupture. This is due to stress caused by high blood pressures on the inside of the vessel and strong suction forces on the outside. Only flare strips and Lasix, used together or alone, have ever been clinically proven to reduce EIPH. Lasix works by reducing the high internal vessel pressure, and flare strips work by reducing the suction forces on the outside of the vessel. See the science at flarestrips.com.
Fans, our live meet here at Santa Anita Park will return on Friday, September 27th, and the first ever California Crown Day at Santa Anita will be held on Saturday, September 28th. It is a day that will include the $1 million California Crown Stakes, along with 2 Grade 2 stakes worth $750,000 each. It will also include premium compound experiences with incredible food and beverage options, along with world-class live musical performances, interactive experiences, and cutting-edge technology. Griffin, Little Yachty, and Shabuzi are just some of the live acts that will be performing. You can get tickets at CaliforniaCrown.com. For additional information regarding our autumn meet, go to SantaAnita.com. California Crown Day, Saturday, September 28th, will be an unforgettable day of world-class racing and world-class entertainment that you will not want to miss here at the great race place, Santa Anita Park.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Hello, I'm Kurt Becker. Thanks for joining me as I take another stroll through racing history presented by Keeneland. He was a horseman who knew economic hardship, but he eventually rose to prominence by training a Grade 1 winner. And as one of the few black horsemen in the sport of thoroughbred racing during his era, he managed his career in ways that reflected the racial landscapes around him. His name was Oscar Dishman Jr. Born in the 1920s and a native of Scott County, Kentucky, Oscar Dishman Jr. was the nephew of Clarence Pick Dishman, an accomplished jockey of the early 20th century. Oscar would serve his country as a platoon sergeant in France during World War II before returning to the U.S. and starting his career in earnest in the horse business as a member of the staff at the C.V. Whitney Farm outside Lexington. Dishman took out his trainer's license in 1961, and the decision to pursue his own public stable at that particular time proved fortunate. Within 5 years, half of the Whitney farm would be sold, meaning his former job likely would have been in jeopardy. But making the transition to being self-employed still came with challenges, especially given the fact Dishman and his wife Sarah had 3 children to raise. Racing at tracks in Ohio and Kentucky, Dishman, like many aspiring horsemen, struggled to develop a client base. Described as diminutive in stature, he found he could get jobs galloping horses in the mornings at $1.50 per head, and he also made use of barbering skills he had learned from a family member while in high school. He would set up a chair in a barn and cut hair for people on the backstretch, charging $1.25 per customer. It was a way to fill the financial gaps when pay horses were lacking. Dishman's financial situation, though, was about to improve. Dishman was racing his stable at River Downs in Cincinnati on a regular basis, and he began notching victories. And as those wins accumulated, others took notice. 2 such individuals were Dr. Joseph Goldcamp and Dr. Archie Donaldson, obstetricians at nearby Good Samaritan Hospital. And in 1968, Donaldson would send a 2-year-old named Dundug Gold to Dishman, giving Dishman his first opportunity to showcase his talents as a horseman at the stakes level. It would also be noted by at least one journalist that both Dishman and Dr. Donaldson were black, making them distinctive in the thoroughbred world. After winning the primary stakes at Beulah Park as a juvenile, Dundug Gold would win the Buckeye Turf Handicap at Thistledown by 7 lengths in 1969, as well as both the Hamilton County Handicap and the Autumn Handicap at River Downs. Included among the latter 2 victories would be a River Downs course record in 1 minute 30 and 2/5 seconds at 7.5 furlongs on the turf. More records would follow in 1970 when Dundug Gold broke the mile record on the turf at River Downs in 1:36.1 before breaking the record a month later for 1 mile and 3/8 on the grass at Thistledown in 2 minutes 16 seconds flat. A couple of years later, Dr. Goldcamp would join Dr. Donaldson in sending Dishman a homebred colt by TV Lark named Golden Dawn. After winning on debut at Churchill Downs as a juvenile, Golden Dawn would win the $50,000 Hawthorne Derby, the $100,000 Michigan Mile and an Eighth, and the Clark Handicap at Churchill Downs. For Dishman, however, the biggest thrill was seeing Golden Dawn run 3rd to Secretariat in the Canadian International Championship at Woodbine in what was the final start of Secretariat's career. And in 1976, Dr. Donaldson sent another homebred to Dishman, this time a Florida-bred son of chieftain named Silver Series. After winning at Hawthorne Racecourse and Churchill Downs as a 2-year-old, Silver Series captured the Hutchison Stakes at Gulfstream Park in February of 1977 to establish himself as a potential contender for the Spring Classics. But the colt went to the sidelines following an injury in the Fountain of Youth, a race in which he was the favorite, and he and Dishman missed their chance at Triple Crown glory. All was not lost, however, as Silver Series recovered to win the Grade 3 Hawthorne Derby, the Grade 2 Ohio Derby, and the Grade 2 American Derby in the span of 4 weeks, and he would return in 1978 to win the Widener Handicap at Hialeah, giving Dishman the satisfaction of training a winner at the Grade 1 level. In 1986, Dishman would be honored for his accomplishments as a trainer at a dinner in Lexington, Kentucky, hosted by the Black Identity Organization of Thoroughbred Racing in the U.S. He would continue training thoroughbreds for another 8 years, and he would pass away at the age of 77 in the year 2000. His was a terrific career, yet it was also one fraught with challenges. Dishman's wife, Sarah, once told the Miami Herald that while she was proud of her husband and his achievements in horse racing, she remembered being denied entrance to the clubhouse at a racetrack on at least one occasion because of her skin color. She was only allowed to enter after she had emptied her purse for security. It was an experience she described as humiliating. As for Dishman himself, he seldom spoke of race or ethnicity to the press. He once said that he sometimes struggled to get stall space at racetracks, but he claimed it was because racing secretaries simply weren't familiar with his horses. Dishman would tell them with a smile, "You know my horses. They're the ones stomping the hell out of the horses getting all the publicity." A columnist once wrote that Oscar Dishman Jr. wanted to connect with racing fans and wanted racing fans to feel connected to the sport. He not only was a true horseman, but also possessed a well of kindness, and the sport was better for having known it. Please join me again next week when I take another stroll through racing history presented by Keeneland. For HRRN, I'm Kurt Becker.
Great stuff from Kurt Becker. If you missed it, check out the podcast on our website, and don't miss our Betting with Bobby show every Friday from 4 to 6 Eastern. I Ask, They Answer with Dale and Tim. Coming up next, this is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
This is HRRN, horse racing's voice.
Race the TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Will you accept the Breeders' Cup Challenge? The chance to compete against the best in the world? The chance to race for a piece of a record-setting $33 million in purses and awards? The chance to be a champion? Winning a Breeders' Cup Challenge Series race gives you the chance to do just that. With an invitation to horse racing's biggest event of the year, the Breeders' Cup World Championships in Del Mar, where finish lines become the start of a legacy and starting gates shine on the world stage, win a Breeders' Cup Challenge Series race and earn an automatic starting position in a Breeders' Cup race, entry fees paid by the Breeders' Cup, a Nominator Award of $10,000, travel awards, and so much more. Here, winning a Challenge Series race is just the beginning. View the schedule of Challenge Series races happening around the world and learn more at breederscup.com/challenge.
This is I Ask, They Answer on the Equine Forum on HRRN.
With a quarter to go at Pimlico, and leading the way is Seize the Gray. Seize the Gray trying to lead them all the way. Seize the Gray, and here's Mystic Dan tipping to the outside. Mystic Dan's coming with a run at the 360s, but still in front of Seize the Gray. Seize the Gray and Jaime Torres in front. Mystic Dan, Brian Hernandez Jr. catching Freedom on the outside with a late bid. It's Seize the Gray in front by 2, shifting out a little bit under left-handed pressure as they're close to home in the Preakness. Seize the Gray. Oh, Jaime Torres seized the day to win the 149th running of the Preakness with Mystic Danner catching Freedom. And then it was Tuscan Gold Just Steel, Uncle Heavy, followed by Imagination and Mugatu.
That's Dave Rodman with the call of Seize the Gray, winning the middle jewel of the Triple Crown earlier this season. He joins Stronghold as the only Grade 1 winners in today's Pennsylvania Derby, but neither find themselves as the morning line favorite. Is that the right or wrong decision? Plus, has Naira given all of us the answer to properly deal with Stewart's decisions? And if you could only choose one of the nation's top 2 jocks, Irad Ortiz Jr. or Flavien Prat, who are you taking? Those topics and much, much more straight ahead on this week's edition of I Ask, They Answer with trainer Dale Romans, turf writer Tim Wilkin, and it is all presented by the University of Louisville Equine Industry Program and the College of Business, and it all starts just 30 seconds from right now.
A spark turns into a dream, and your dreams fuel a love that will last a lifetime. Turn your passion into a career with experienced guidance, a thorough study of equine business, as well as opportunities to get your hands dirty and put your mind to work. Located in the heart of horse country, let your passion fuel your profession at the U of L Equine Industry Program. Apply today.
All right, guys, we're going to kick it off by talking about the yearling sales, but before we do, Dale, I just want to extend a special congratulations to you. I was flipping through some of the information on Equibase and happened to notice that you recently recorded your 2,200th career victory. I was going to go 2,200th, but that doesn't make sense. 2,200 wins. Well done, man. That's awesome.
Thank you. I didn't know that until you just told me that. But, yeah, that shows I'm getting old and been around a long time. Maybe I can make.
And there aren't a whole lot of trainers who have hit that mark.
No, it probably isn't. It's been pretty good. Racing's been good to me. Let's set a goal for 3,000. Let's try to get 800 more.
All right, guys, let's kick it off here this morning. We're going to begin with topic number 1, and this one, records falling everywhere at recent yearling sales, both at Fasig-Tipton, Saratoga, and Keeneland, September. What does the strength of the yearling sales market mean for the industry? Dale, what does that mean for the industry?
Well, I think it's important to keep the breeders going out there and trying to breed better horses, and hopefully it boosts the size of the foal crop over the next couple of years. We've talked about it before, how it's secular. When things are tight, seems like everybody gets rid of their mares. When they start booming and rolling again, the foal crop gets bigger, which gives us more horses to compete, bigger fields and races. And, of course, we've been on a downward trend, but I've been predicting we're going to trend back up.
You've been saying that a long time.
Yeah, and I mean, the stronger the sales are, the more mares guys can breed, and the more opportunity there is to make some money. So it's happened before. We shrink and grow, prune out the bad mares. Now we get it big again.
Timmy?
Well, it seems that, with this record-setting year that they had at Keeneland, just looking at it, it wasn't just the big guns that were buying the horses, the Coolmores, the Godolphins and such. I mean, it was more of a mix, and I think you're getting more people that are getting into the game, which is great. And, I think it puts more money in the hands of the breeders, and then they can get better mares. So I just think it's such a positive step in the breeding industry because, let's face it, past years, people have always been down on it, saying, well, there's, the foal crops are down and this and that. But this is an indication to me that there's still a lot of big interest in the game, and we hope it continues.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing the horses that are being sold. I think we're seeing the buyers come from a variety of different angles, if you will. A lot of new buyers getting into the game, and Dale, that's got to be very healthy for the sport.
It is healthy, and I think a little bit, for a long time there, Godolphin and Coolmore and a couple of players dominated and got all the best horses. They just went in and outbid everybody. And with them kind of stepping back from all the buying they're doing, I think it opened it up for some wealthy people to come in and say, hey, I can get the horse I really want. I don't have to settle for what they don't want. And overall, I think that makes for a healthier game.
Well, it's great to see, and congratulations to Fasig-Tipton and to Keeneland for all the success that they are experiencing and for putting these auctions together the way that they do. Really quality yearlings and the future stars of the sport on display over the course of the past couple of weeks and even the past month and a half or so if you look back to facing Tipton Saratoga. All right, let's move on to topic number 2. And this one, we're going to have a little fun, guys. With 6 weeks remaining until the Breeders' Cup, who would you rather have right now? And I'm going to give you 2 names in a few of the different Breeders' Cup divisions. You tell me which one you would take sitting here on September 21st. In the older male division, National Treasure or Senor Buscador? Tim Wilkin, who would you rather have?
I'm taking National Treasure. I think there's more upswing to National Treasure than there is a Senior Buscador. National Treasure's fizzled in the Whitney when he was 6, but it was a track he didn't like. He still has the Met Mile under his belt. He's got the Pegasus under his belt, even though he only beat Senior Buscador by a neck. And Senior Buscador, he after winning the Saudi Cup, that's the only win he's got this year. He's 4th in the Pat O'Brien in his last race. He was the 3rd choice in that race. I just think National Treasure has more upside, and I'm still not going to be surprised if we see him in the Classic rather than the Dirt Mile.
Surprise, surprise. Tim picks a Baffert horse.
Stop it. Stop it right now.
He's probably right about this one, though. You can throw out the Baffert effect doesn't seem to be as strong at Saratoga. We'll throw that race out, and when he heads to California and he's on his home turf, he's pretty hard to beat. So just because of the Baffert effect in California, I'm going with National Treasure.
See, we're starting to get you on the right side now, Dale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I've always been a fan. I'm just not a super fan like you.
Tim Wilkin, president of the Bob Baffert Fan Club. Tim, I'm going to give you a shot to do it again. The older female division. Who are you taking right now, Idiomatic or Adair Manor?
Well, this is going to break Dale's heart, I'm sure, but I'm going to take Idiomatic in this one. She's raced 4 times this year, got 2 wins. She's 2 heads away from being undefeated. She lost the personal length in the Ogden Phipps, both at Saratoga by a head. I still think she's a very much quality animal. But Adair Manor, this is a close one because Adair Manor, Bob was going to run her against the boys in the Pacific Classic. Didn't get there, and she hasn't worked in a bit. So he hasn't worked since right before that race. So I don't know what's up with her. I just think that Idiomatic, and the only time they ever raced was in the against each other was in the Distaff last year, which was won by Idiomatic, and Adair Manor was 7th. But Adair Manor is very tough. She's going to be on her home court, so to speak, home track. But I've always been an Idiomatic fan. I'm taking her.
I'm going to Adair Manor because all the reasons you just talked about. Idiomatic's been beaten twice. And you're going out to Baffert country, and you got to beat him on his home turf, which is hard to do. And, Tim, I never expected you to give in to peer pressure. You know you didn't want to pick her.
I picked her before we even got on the show today. Come on now.
Yeah. Doing your research, right. You picked her.
I haven't been able to do much research because they got me working like a dog down here at Parx for the Pennsylvania Derby.
Oh, yeah. I forgot you picked up another gig. That's a nice spot in. That's a fun place to hang out.
It is. It's pretty cool. It's nice down here.
Yeah.
I have to say
Tim,
that.
Tom Law told me earlier you're the old guard up there at Parx now.
The old guard, huh? What is that supposed to mean? My goodness.
You're the veteran.
As old as I am. He's almost as old as I am. We got to put him on oxygen. He can't keep up.
I don't know. He was pretty good in his interview earlier in the show. He did a nice job. You guys are all still clicking along at a pretty good clip, and that's good to see. How about the 3-year-old male division? I'll give you Fierceness or Dornock. Dale, which one you taking?
Probably Fierceness. I just been waiting on him to get it all together and reel off a bunch of wins in a row. He used to be the other racehorse, but I don't think he's like that anymore. I think Fierceness is a true talent that's finally going to put it all together and win a few races in a row.
It's funny. It's funny how one race can sway people away from things. Dornock was at the height of his season after winning the Haskell and the Belmont. Then he goes into the Travers and was a pretty dull 4th. So now, this is a game of what have you done for me lately? And Fierceness won the Travers, and it was pretty impressive in doing it by holding off the hard-charging Thorpedo Anna. And I would think that Fierceness and Dornoch are about dead even for the 3-year-old championship right now. It'll be decided at Del Mar in the Classic. So I think that right now I'm going to take Fierceness because he's the now horse, and Dornoch now all of a sudden has to prove himself all over again. And I think he's fully capable of doing it, but Fierceness might be on top of his game. And, I think that they finally put to rest the one bad, one good race because, he ran 2 pretty good ones at Saratoga. So I'll take Fierceness.
I took Fierceness too, but I will say Dornoch's sort of been the Rodney Dangerfield of the 3-year-old crop. I don't think he's ever really gotten respect he's deserved. And he is a good, solid racehorse. It wouldn't surprise me if we're both wrong. But, for some reason, people just don't seem to respect him like they probably should.
I agree with you on that. Watch Sierra Leone will come and beat them both. One of these days, he's going to step up and win one of these. And it might be the Breeders' Cup.
So, but everybody's been betting on him like he's going to, and they've lost a lot of money.
And then people get off him. You get a good price, and they'll win the Classic.
You're probably right.
Yeah. Welcome to horse racing. Welcome to horse racing. That's how it usually goes. How about on the jockey side, guys? And this might be splitting hairs, but who would you rather have right now, Irad Ortiz Jr. or Flavien Prat? Dale?
Very much splitting hairs. I mean, you can't go wrong. It's a no-lose choice. But for the sake of the show, I'll say Irad just because I know him a lot better. But they're both great jockeys, and you're not going to lose anything with either one of them. But I do know Irad a lot better than Flavien. He spent most of his career out west. And, Irad, I was the first person to ride him in the Classic, and I had to talk Akhmadzai into doing it. But
really?
Better. No, yeah, that was a long time ago. But you could just see where he was going in his career. He just wasn't quite there yet. And we didn't run any good, but I was happy to have him on board. I'm proud of the fact, looking back, that we had the foresight to do it.
I mean, if you had to take one and you don't get the other, I mean, you're not going to be disappointed with either one. Both at the top of their games right now. I mean, Flavien Prat had that amazing Saratoga. We won 18 stakes, 14 of them graded, 7 grade ones. Now, if you look at the tail of the tape, which I sometimes do, Flavien has 43 graded stakes wins this year with 13 grade ones, and Irad has 30 graded stakes and 6 grade ones. So I guess you'd have to say you'd take Flavien Prat, but Irad is a big time race rider, and I think I would take him only because I love the fierce competitor that he is. Not that Flavien isn't, but there's a lot of Angel Cordero and Irad Ortiz, I think, and I just think he's going to end up being one of the all-time greats if he isn't already almost there. And Flavien very well could be too. Again, it's one of the it's so close. But if I had to take one, I think I would take Irad right now.
Well,
Dale, I'm shocked that you didn't.
If push came to shove, you have to take Irad because he knows how to push and shove.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm shocked you didn't come up with those numbers yourself, Dale.
Right, yeah. Tim did a good job with there.
You didn't get that memo then. I was about the research seminar we're going to do, right?
No, I missed the research seminar. I actually forgot to read the script this week again. I've been doing better.
That
I
was
get about 1 out of every 4.
That was really good research, Tim. Well done on those numbers. I'll give you guys one more before we move on to Nick Zito and Right or Wrong. In honor of today's win and you're in Princess Rooney Stakes at Gulfstream, I'm going to give you 3 brilliant distaff winners from the 1980s, and you tell me who you would rather have among these 3. And you want to talk about splitting hairs, guys. Princess Rooney, Lady Secret, or Personal Ensign? Tim, what do you think?
I mean, that's almost an impossible question to answer because they're 3 of the best of all time. If I had to take one, I got to go with Personal Ensign. She was never beaten. 13 for 13. Yep. She beat the boys in the Whitney like Lady Secret did. Of those 13 wins, 8 of them were grade 1s. It's a phenomenal career she had for Shug McGahee. And Lady Secret, the Iron Horse, that for Wayne Lucas, She 25 wins and 45 starts. I mean, she was a throwback to the old days when they ran the horses all the time. And Princess Rooney, she only had 21 starts. She won 17 of them. How can you go wrong with her? But to take just one, I'm going with the horse that never lost.
Yeah, I'll take Personal Instinct also. She did all her racing on a surgically repaired back leg. She had pins and screws in her back leg where she had broke it as a young horse and still went on to be undefeated and probably ran one of my favorite races in the history of horse racing was her Breeders' Cup Distaff at Churchill Downs. I was there live. It was cold. It was spitting sleet. And Randy Romero was a good friend, and he told me the story about loading in the gate, and the announcer says something about her trying to win, go undefeated. And he said it's the first time in his life he really felt a lot of pressure. He just wanted to hide under the gate. And you watch, I spent, Tom Durkin, I spent some time with a bunch of guys sitting around the smoke shop this summer talking about that whole day was the greatest day of Breeders' Cup, or greatest day of racing in American history. 1988 Breeders' Cup. And we started talking about the race and how she never looked like she was going to win the race and gets up the last jump to beat the Kentucky Derby winner, winning colors. One of my all-time favorite horses. I love to sit around and talk to Sugar about it. I used to love when Randy would talk about it when we sat with Tom and talked about the call of the race and how at the quarter pole there was no way she was going to win. And anybody who loves horse racing history, go back and watch the replay. It's worth the time. Personal Instinct all the way.
Yep, that was spectacular. It's a great story, too, Dale. And that was the year Ellie Sheba won the Classic, right, for Jack Van Berg?
Ali Sheba wins the Classic in the dark, and remember 49er drops. It looks like he's up top and drops back and comes running at the end. I think Wayne Lucas ran like 1, 2, 3, 4 in the juvenile distaff. It was, I think Easy Goer got beaten the juvenile. It was the greatest day of horse racing, I believe, in the history of the game. And Tom agreed with me.
Well, that's saying
pretty special. Pretty special. Back in 1988 at Churchill Downs, and 6 weeks away from the Breeders' Cup now. Thorpedo Anna is hoping to get there. We're going to talk about her in just a second, but it is that time of the show where we say hello to our friend Nick Zito, and Dale and Tim tell me if the following statements are right or wrong.
Yeah, right or wrong. Am I right? What do you think? Right or wrong?
All right, I mentioned Thorpedo Anna. Shane in North Carolina sends in this question for you guys. Following her courageous runner-up effort in the Travers, Thorpedo Anna does something she has never done in her career. She bounces off that performance and loses 2 in a row in today's Grade 1 Cotillion. Guys, is Shane right or wrong?
What do you think? Right or wrong?
Dale?
First of all, boo, bad question, Shane. You're better than that. You know she goes on and gallops against the Phillies. She's not going to bounce. Love your question, Shane, but this one, a little bit of a dud. She's going to gallop and get me 10 points.
And that might end the competition, eh?
Exactly. I'm going to open up today.
I mean, you might put the Tyson knockout punch on us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's the only contest horse that's running this weekend, Tim.
I believe you are right.
Yeah.
And it's, I've been down here at Parx working on their notes team, and I've talked to a bunch of the trainers that are going up against Thorpedo Anna, and no one is, and it might be trainer speak because that's what trainers do, but no one is saying that they think they're going to come in here and beat Thorpedo Anna, that she would have to, have an off day to even have a chance. I mean, there's always a chance that she could bounce off of that Travers effort. It was a tough race, but I mean, I've talked to Brian Hernandez, I've talked to Kenny McPeak, and they don't think that's happened. They think that this filly is still at the peak of her game, and I would expect, she beat up on most of these horses, these fillies earlier in the year. Yes, they can always improve, but I just don't see them improving enough to beat this horse. She's, she's in a class by herself with these 3-year-old fillies, and I would expect her to put on a show for the people in Pennsylvania.
Well, it should be a treat in that Grade 1 Cotillion. Let's move on to the Grade 1 Pennsylvania Derby, where Dragoon Guard, a two-time Grade 3 winner, is the 9-5 morning line favorite in that race over a pair of Grade 1 winners, Seize the Gray and Stronghold, which I say is a horrible choice by the morning line odds maker. Class matters. Tim Wilkin, am I right or wrong?
What do you think? Right or wrong?
I think you're wrong. Yes, class does matter. I mean, Seize the Gray is as good as he was in the Preakness, he has not instilled confidence in his last two races, the Belmont and the Jim Dandy. He ran two duds at Saratoga. Yes, he's had time off now, and admit the horse looks really good down here. Wayne Lucas came in with the horse Tuesday, and if anyone can get a horse ready for a big effort, it's him. And he looks the part. And Stronghold looks good too. He's the Santa Anita Derby winner, who was last seen finishing second in the Indiana Derby to Dragoon Guard, who is the favorite. And Dragoon Guard is the favorite because he's now the hot horse. He's won 4 straight, 2 of them Grade 3s. It's not like he's Brad Cox has said he didn't think he was ready for the Travers, even though he thought he fit against those horses, and he'll get the chance to prove it today. I think he deserves the favoritism in this spot, because Stronghold, after winning the Santa Anita Derby by a knack over Imagination, and I believe there was another Baffert horse that was supposed to run that got scratched. So I don't know if that was, I forget which one that was, believe it or not. But so shame on me. But Stronghold is a Grade 1 winner, but he still has a lot to prove to me. And he didn't beat, he couldn't beat Dragoon Gold in Indiana. So Dragoon Guard is the deserving favorite in this race.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that line. I don't know if he's going to win. Wayne Lucas needs to pop up and get it done in some of these situations. So I would be betting on Wayne, but nothing wrong with the line. Good horse, even though he hasn't won a Grade 1 yet. We're predicting the future, not the past.
Brad Cox told me earlier in the show that he thinks that this is right up his alley, so we'll find out later this afternoon if Dragoon Guard can pull off the victory in there, get his first Grade 1, and justify that morning line odds. All right, we'll bring back Nick Zito again for this segment next week, right or wrong, but we have one more topic before Dale and Tim make their final point of the week, and this one involves a story that came out this week where NYRA has launched a new regular YouTube channel entitled Steward's Review, at least a YouTube feature, in which NYRA steward Victor Escobar is going to explain recent decisions involving disqualifications and non-DQs. Guys, if you want transparency, you got it here. I love this idea. Tim Wilkin, what say you? Do you like this?
Yeah, I love the idea. You always want to, whenever there's a DQ, there's always people that are barking and complaining on social media, and they want an explanation, they want answers. Well, now they're going to get their answers. And this is the right way to do it, to have these stewards explain themselves and why they did what they did. It would be great if they did that in all sports. To have I know in the NFL you got the reviews, and after further review, they say something's either overturned or not. Obviously, they're not going to overturn a DQ or anything, but they're going to be able to explain what they saw and why they did what they did. And the racing fans should be embracing that and taking that to heart when they watch a race, and if they get taken down or put up, they're going to get the explanation of why that happened. I think it's great.
I think it's great for horse players. Dale, how about from the horseman side? Do you like something like this?
It's all right. It doesn't mean a whole lot. I don't believe you're not going to get the guy that just got his pick 5 snatched from him at Aqueduct in the winter because of a DQ to ever agree with any YouTube video. So I'd rather turn the camera around and get the explanation from that guy on why he thinks his horse should have stayed up. It would be a lot more entertaining.
Yeah, it was. Maybe we'll have to come up with a segment like that on this show, but that could be kind of interesting.
That'd be fun. I want to host that segment.
Dale's
All right.
decision.
Just a couple of minutes left to wrap this one up. You guys still have to make your final point of the week. I will give a quick update on the Showdown 3. We mentioned Thorpedo Anna, Dale's horse, looking to cement his case for the championship, a back-to-back championship in the Showdown. If she can win, that will push Dale up another 10 points. But currently he leads me by 12 points, 66-54. Timmy's in third with 51 points. You can see all the updates on our website, horseracingradio.net. Time for Dale and Tim to make one final point before we wrap up the show. Tim, take it away.
Well, as I mentioned before, I'm down here at beautiful Parx Racing in Bensalem, Pennsylvania. I've been here all week working for the track. And, you know, it's a cool place. I've been here the last 5 years or so, and it's always a treat to come down here because they're so hospitable, and you know they really take pride in the track they have here, and they bring the mummers in from Pennsylvania, from Philadelphia, to dance around those crazy outfits that they wear. You always see them with the New Year's Day parades, and I think that we should get the whole staff of this show to put on mummers uniforms and dance around in Saratoga next summer.
Great idea.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm up for that. Let's. I just want to talk about the sales. We talked about them earlier. It's been a lot of fun. I've missed one day, I think, over there at the sale the whole time. It wraps up today, and it's just been a lot of fun. Keeneland does a great job, and somebody said this morning, Train, this is our convention. Everybody comes together. You see a lot of people we haven't seen in a long time. You see a lot of great horses and all kind of optimism and excitement about horse racing. The sales are a lot of fun. Get over. If you ever get a chance, just watch. Be a good spectator. It's a lot of fun.
All right, Dale, Tim, enjoy the weekend. Dale, good luck on your quest for number 3,000. I know you're going to get there before too long, my friend. Let's get that started.
Thanks, fellas. See you later.
All right. See ya.
As we mentioned, Dale Roman's 2,200 career wins. He said he wants to get to 3,000. That quest begins today. If you have a topic you want to hear Dale and Tim discuss, email it to me, Mike@horseracingradio.net. We'll get that worked in for you. I Ask They Answer is presented by the University of Louisville Equine Industry Program and the College of Business. I'm back with more. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes to talk.
After an exhilarating day at the Breeders' Cup races on Friday, November 1st, don't miss Thoroughbred Charities of America's Bash at the Breeders' Cup at the Del Mar Hilton, directly across the street from the racetrack. Immerse yourself in a night of savory bites, handcrafted cocktails, live music, and an opportunity to bid on extraordinary items, all in support of Thoroughbred Charities of America. For tickets and more information, please visit tca.org.
Hi, Tony. Hey, Matthew. There's a reason why Tony's Steaks and Seafood is my favorite restaurant. It's because I want to feel part of the family. Isn't that right, Tony?
That's right. There's a saying on the wall that I truly believe in. There's always room for one more at our table. We just want you to be part of our family.
And believe me, you will be. It's Tony's Steaks and Seafood right across from Triangle Park. Visit them at TonySteaksandSeafood.com.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Whoa! Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Woohoo! Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie. So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Remember the last time your family visited the forest? It's a place of wonder and imagination for the whole family, where stories come to life. And it's closer than you think. Ready to plan your next visit? Make the forest part of your story today at a local park near you, or find one at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Thursday evenings, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern, is the Brisnet.com call-in show. It's your chance to call in and let the Horse Racing Radio Nation know what's on your mind. Call us at 888-966-HRRN. That's 888-966-4776. And discuss the topics you choose in the world of thoroughbred racing. The Brisnet.com call-in show. Sirius 162, XM 207, and streaming live at horseracingradio.net. You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Well, a reminder that there is no better way to follow racing, breeding, industry news, and more than with Blood Horse. And there are so many platforms in which they bring it to you. You've got bloodhorse.com, the Blood Horse Daily app, Blood Horse Magazine, the Stallion Register, Blood Horse Plus, the social media that Blood Horse provides. No one covers thoroughbred racing, breeding, and our sport like Blood Horse. For more than 100 years, it has been Blood Horse. Well, how about that show? Was that full enough for you here this morning? Always is, and I enjoy bringing it to you, and I enjoy having each and every one of you tuned in every single Saturday morning. Brad Cox was with me. My thanks to Chris Hartman, who joined me to talk about Fibber in the Grade 3 Dogwood at Churchill today. Brian Nadeau with that great look at the stakes races, including the Princess Rooney at Gulfstream later today. Brian Hernandez Jr. was with me to talk about Thorpedo Anna. You heard from Tom Law with an extensive preview of all the big races coming up at Parx later this afternoon. And my thanks to Kevin Kilroy with the TwinSpires Triple Play, Kurt Becker with his Stroll Through Racing History, and Dale and Tim in the previous segment with I Ask, They Answer. So many things that we got to cover for you here this morning, and boy, it's been a lot of fun. Don't forget to join us throughout the week with all of our talk shows, including Trainer Talk, presented by Fasig-Tipton, kicking it off for you on Wednesdays from 6 to 7 Eastern. Thursday, all kinds of action. Friday, all kinds of action on the network. And then Saturday morning, I'm right back here with you with the Equine Forum. You can see a complete schedule on our website, horseracingradio.net, or follow along on social media at HRN on Twitter, Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook, and subscribe to our email newsletters on our website at horseracingradio.net. My thanks to all my guests, my producer Lee Delapina in our Lexington studio, and to Chauncey for handling the social media again for us here this morning. I'm Mike Penna. Thanks for listening. Chargers coming to town this week. Home opener. Go Steelers.